Well, hello everybody and good evening to round 2 of GPVWC's Super League 2014. My name is Simon Smith and I'm joining you in the Malaysian heat, that is the Sepang International Circuit. And we've just kicked off into the 15-minute qualifying session, which is looking like it's going to be a complete turn on its heads from what it was at Melbourne. As ever, I'm never alone on cameras, manning all the pixelated glory that you can see before you is Simon Melouche. Well, as I pronounce his name differently every week, that's going to be an ongoing theme, I can see. And however, giggling in the background is Mr. Lewis McGlade, back again. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, and I'm quite excited to be here to see this. Obviously, I've watched the previous 2 races that we've had this throughout the week in Formula Challenge and Super Cup, and the heat has played a very, very interesting part in the race as to how the tyres are overheated. And in qualifying in the Super Cup, we had a lot of people qualifying on the primes and actually getting quite far up there. Obviously, with the track temperature being 41 degrees at the moment, I don't think we're going to have a repeat of what we had in Melbourne with CSG running off and taking the 1-2. I think we've got a very, very different story to tell this time out.
Absolutely. It's the CSG guys that have gone round to kick off their hot lap with 13 minutes left to go. Just quick updates on the actual drivers in the cars. The ever-going monopoly that goes round for the Midnight Motorsports car. Nick Rowland has stayed in the car for this round, and we've also got Vinod Moodley in at Green Stripes Racing to make his first racing start for 2014. He was not there last time by, as Calvin Herms has just left the game, celebrating his 18th birthday yesterday, so he'll want to get back in and make sure that he can get 18th on the grid maybe, as the CSGs, followed by the Red Archers, go round on their hot laps. And so far, Red Archer dominating in practice with Davidas Misilis in the front of the grid, confirming essentially that we've got a real shaky Stevens potentially for quali.
Yeah, I mean, the R&D obviously playing a very key part in this, and looking at it, when you look at all the grids and stuff like that, it's Red Archer have statistically the best car here. So, you're looking at those to be higher up than usual. Nijo not too far behind though, and obviously with Rude and Tom in that team, they're going to be one to look out for to get pole position today. But, we've been surprised so far this season, so, can't hold out.
I'll be surprised if Redshaw keeps up in a top position, because he's had an allergic reaction to the final 2 apexes of his hot lap. Across the line of 1:32.627, Fiduk just a 10th behind. And then we'll be looking for Hawkeye Baldy goes third, just 3 tenths off. And then Canapino in behind, under a second from the CSGs. The field, almost everyone, except for, I believe, Torrent and 2 others, have not actually brought an upgrade to the circuit, as Muscat goes second. So he splits the CSGs there, 67 thousandths of a second behind Redshaw. Amazingly, with that scrappy final end, he did not lose his provisional pole for the time being. But Heasterbeek's 2 tenths up. Vandervoort had a torrid first lap round, 2 seconds down. But Nijo's the second fastest car potentially out here on track, and he could very well spring a surprise as he goes round into the 3rd and final sector in the rather slinky Nijo racing car. Love that livery.
Yeah, 3.5 tenths up now is Ruud Heasterbeek as he heads to the penultimate corner. It's, as I said, difficult track, and the tyres, they overheat really, really quickly here. That time from Redshaw is actually pretty good, especially in consideration that they are one of the teams that haven't really brought a proper upgrade to the car. So, to say that they're currently sitting P1 and P3 is quite an impressive job. Giuseppe Ranieri in P4, Midnight Motorsports, that's the other car that doesn't have any upgrades, as Ruud Heasterbeek goes to the line and goes P1 by half a second.
Wow. Half a second clear then of Redshaw. Muscat, Fiduk, Ranieri, Baldy, Canapino, Columbus, Rowland and Bryson, your top 10. Phoenix F1 is the other car that's taken a massive step forward. They're the 3, then Nijo, Red Archer and Phoenix, that have had the big step forwards for the Sepang race. And it would be great to see Phoenix in their sophomore year, as it were, to push up the grid a wee bit, because they endured such heartache last time by. Most people, again, just doing the 1 lap and then coming straight in, as Morris out there for Kernow and Misilis coming out of the final corner. He could well spring a surprise for Red Archer. We saw that throughout the other ones. As Misilis goes on to his hot lap. People really only been able to do 1 lap before the tyres fall off.
Yeah, it's the thermal degradation on these tyres. They just sort of they're there for you, and then they're just not. They fall off. It's just the way these tyres work this season, and the heat of this track. It's increased only a degree over the session, but we've only done 5 minutes of it. I reckon we'll be touching 43 degrees by the end of the session. Track temperature as it was last time. I think Canapino had just gone off in front of Mercedes there.
Yep, a bit of an unfortunate incident. How much does that hold you up when someone else is having a bit of a dodgy time around you and you've got to kind of think, ugh?
You spend a lot of drivers kind of have a problem with not focusing on what they're doing, and when you've got someone spinning off in front of you, you're keeping an eye on them, making sure that they're not coming back on the line, especially in the way the qualifying works here. Where in GPVWC, if you escape back to pit lane and then go out to qualify again, then you will be landed with what has been decided this year. I think it's been a 10-place grid drop as opposed to a 5-place last year, so it's much more harsh this season. And that's what a lot of the drivers have to. They have to think about where everyone else is. It's not as if you can go, oh, I've lost a wheel, that's okay, I'll just escape back to pit lane and come back out again. It's not like that here. You've got to really focus on what's going on in qualifying and what everyone else is doing. And so, it's very, very easy to actually get distracted by another driver.
Absolutely. Davidas Mercedes comes out of the final corner then. Bit of a distraction on his lap. He goes 6th, 8 tenths behind the Heasterbeek, Redshaw, Muscat, Fidock and Ranieri top 5. Then Mercedes. Boldy then down to 7. Canapino 8 doing very well for Nordzone. Target in 9 there for Mindergaus Columbus. That's good. Remember, they're a new team this year. Toby Davis in 10th for Nordzone. He is the sole person that's got a grid drop penalty for this race, and that's going to be 10 positions, so that will not impress him much. As the song goes, then it's Hamnet, Roland, Casa, Bryson, DeVos, Miller, Ryan, Schroten, Asbury and Vandervoort down in 20th, really struggling here at the moment. And down to 21st he goes as someone improves. That was Lee Morris going into 8th. With Vernonson, Tumala, Fuller and Moodley, both those last two outside 4 seconds. Just Jordan Weeks, the sole person, along with Paresis and Herms, yet to pick up a time, but at least all three are out on track at the moment.
Yeah, that Kerno's probably not. Doesn't seem like it's a very good car when you look at the upgrades that it's got. It's just not very good. As you said earlier about Torrent, they're not really bringing too many upgrades here. Jim Paresis moves himself up into 11th position, however, nearly into the top 10s, and on the primes. David Fidock moves up into P2 on the prime compact car as well. Then Lewis Redshaw moves up to 2nd. So they're both on the primes. That's the interesting thing to point out here, is that Redshaw and David are on the primes, as opposed to Ruud Heasterbeek, who's doing this on the option tyres. This is the thing of the tyres overheating.
Wow. Problems down at Nordzone. Augustin Canapino cannot do another lap. He's been punted off the track by Jason Muscat in a collision between the two, and that's going to drop Canapino down, unfortunately. Currently sitting 10th. And an impressive 1:33.255, 1.1 seconds off of Heasterbeek's pole. Redshaw's eaten into that. He's now just 3 tenths behind, and Fidock's closing in. But that's unfortunate for Canapino, because with his teammate, poor old Davis, in 12th position, that's not a good day at the office so far for the Nordzone Racing team.
Yeah, no, that's not a nice way to kick it off, however. There's no point in qualifying. It's all about what happens in the race, and you can work it back in the race. It's just a lot of this is going to come down to strategy and playing the tyres right and going at your own pace, as opposed to pushing somewhere where you're not supposed to be. If that makes sense.
Oh yeah, many a Saturday night has been spent doing that, and I've never reaped any of the rewards, to be fair. Whilst we've just got a little mini lull, Fidock's just going around on another hot. Oh no, it's coming into the pits. Comes into the pits.
Same with Redshaw, I assume. They're running strategically. Yes, they are indeed.
They are. They've been nose to tail actually throughout the whole session. So I'm wondering if they're trying to grab some kind of straight line speed. A lot of people are saying the engine upgrade here is quite important, and they're going straight back out again with 5 to go for their next run. Ranieri pops into 2nd then for Midnight Motorsport. Just done that 20 seconds ago. Good run there by Midnight, because that car clearly not the most massively upgraded car out there, and that's him just dragging the car by its skin of its teeth. And Nick Rowland 1.4 seconds behind his teammate. Will be looking at that thinking, bugger. I can imagine.
Yeah, well, I mean, you look at how Nick pulled it back the last time he was in the car. the same difference is that Giuseppe Ranieri on the option tyres moved himself up to P2, whereas Nick Rowland's on the primes down in P14. So
what would you say is the difference between the two tyres?
It's the options. If you can get your first lap in good, if you can do first lap, do it as a hot lap and do everything right, the perfect apex is everything, and the temperatures are right for you, don't have any traffic, then the options are the best qualifying tyre. But if you want to stay out and do 5 or 6 laps, then you've got to do it on the primes. They last longer. They don't thermally overheat, and that's the important thing with these tyres.
Well, Calvin Herms, I don't think he's going to be able to get a lap in with the ST if he continues like that. That's the third time that he's done a single lap and come straight into the pits. So clearly an issue there. And with Mark Fuller down in 26th for ST Racing, those along with Green Stripes, those two teams really fallen off the back. The other 24 cars are just separated by 2.7 seconds. And to be fair, Morten Vernonson's half a second behind the next one of Danny Asbury. So 23 cars separated by 2.2 seconds. The field really closed up here for Malaysia. And we've seen that throughout the season. So far as well, from Australia to Malaysia. Harley Hamnet just running out wide in 13th for Hawkeye. That won't help him out at all. But the top 10 currently at the moment, as we come down to one run to go for everyone, I think Heasterbeek is currently on pole position with a 1:32.086 ahead of Giuseppe Ranieri for Midnight. Then a 2 CSGs, 3-4 with Redshaw ahead of Fiduk. Then Muscat ahead of Missilis for Red Archer VRT. I know how David Yunt, I think, will be upset that he's not in that car this season, because that's probably the highest I've seen Red Archers be for quite some time, as Missilis takes another 10th off of his fastest time. Gergabaldi is in 7th for Hawkeye, Lee Morris 8th for Kernow, Mendegas is 9 for Target, and rounding out your top 10, still clinging in, Augustin Canapino.
Yeah, I mean, you said about close qualifying session. We've seen that in Super Cup, and even in Formula 10, it was a little bit closer in Formula 10. Kind of more spread out, but in Super Cup, I think the entire grid was separated by not really that much over 2 seconds. We're kind of having that here. Obviously, you've got a few drivers who are about 4 seconds off, but quite a substantial amount of the grid. 22 cars are separated by 2.2 seconds. So it's a close grid out there at the moment, with lots of time to be found, I feel, by some of the drivers.
Definitely, it's interesting to see that. Some of the drivers are literally nose to tail. The Phoenixes, 19th and 20th. I was expecting a bit more from them with their upgrades, but there's less than a tenth between those two. And get those two on the same row, that could be fireworks. Same with the Woods Racings as well, just a tenth separating those. But when you look at, say, Vod Bull, there's Bart Vos, a full 1.1 seconds ahead of Morten Vernonson. So there's plenty to be found there for Morten. And a couple of others, the Torrents are... No, they're about 2 tenths apart. But yeah, Vodball and Midnight and Target, the other one where things are quite spread as well. Jordan Weeks 7 tenths off his teammate. As Peter Kaza goes into 11th, just pipping his teammate Paresis by 0.06 of a second for 11th.
Yeah, Petter obviously missing the first round. And is now back in that Torrent machine. And it's the same lineup they had for quite a lot of last season, the lineup that dominated the last part of it. And I think that they might be playing the same kind of game, looking at the last part of the season as opposed to this early part. And that's important to them. It worked out very nicely for them last season. I think Giuseppe Ranieri's just started his final lap of qualifying, and he is on the Prime Compound tyre now. Interesting.
See how that one goes. I suppose if you can push that to the limit, you can see exactly what the difference is for him to help out his strategy, maybe. But you'd think you'd do that a little bit before.
Yeah, so you could put a few laps in.
A little bit. Petter Kaza, actually, just a quick word on him. Great to see him back out on the track. I know he was feeling a wee bit down at the start of the year, but we all salute you and cheer you. It's great to see the familiar faces out there alongside the new guns.
Yeah, Ranieri only a 10th down in the first sector, but it's all the second sector where these option tyres are going to help out the most. So, him being on the primes, this is where it could hurt. If he can keep close in this sector, then this could be an improvement. Yeah, Paresis just improved into 9th position on 1:33.1. So him moving that Torrent machine up into the top 10, very impressive. Giuseppe Ranieri coming up to the second sector split, and this is where I want to see. I want to see what that car's going to do. How far is he down? Half a second.
That's still... No, it's not going to help him until the checkered flag's popped out. So we are done. Heasterbeek's already in the pits, as is Redshaw and Fiduk, and I think he has backed off by the looks of it as he comes doodling down the straight. He's still You people improving. Toby Davis goes
Yeah.
12th in the Nord zone. Of course, that would be a 10 penalty drop. Peter Kaz's gone off as well, so that's the end of his. Oh no, he's already finished his lap. Van der Vault into the pits from 15th. He won't be impressed with that. I think it's just Bart de Vos there going around on a quick lap as one of the few left, I think. Schroten too.
Yep. Also, to just remind everyone about grid penalties, is that Toby Davis is the only person with the grid penalties 10 place grid drop. So he'll be starting at the moment 22nd for the Malaysian Grand Prix. But yeah, we've had an interesting qualifying session so far that's left Ruud Heesterbeek on what looks like a pole that no one's going to beat. However, I did just see someone improve.
That was Lee Morris just popping into 6th from 9th position in the car.
That's a good job. That's a good job because that car does not look very good when you look at the upgrades it's got. It's an impressive job to put that in 6th position.
Especially when teammate Sam Miller is down in 20th. Some 1.4 seconds off your teammate. And I don't care what compound of tyre that is, that's still a gap. Schroten comes across the line and jumps up to 18th as well. So that leapfrogs his teammate Danny Asbury and chucks Jordan Weeks, Boyd Bryson and a Sam Miller in between them. So that's everyone across the line. Ruud Heesterbeek has the pole position. 1:32.086 ahead of Giuseppe Ranieri, then the CSGs of Redshaw and Fidek. Then, it's Fidek or Fidek? Fidek. I was just double guessing myself now. I was thinking Fido. Muscat and Morris, Masilis, Boldy, Parisis and Columbus, and all the is rounding out your top 10. Who's your man of the race there? Quali there, Lewis.
I'm quite impressed, with Giuseppe Ranieri with a car that isn't really as good as the CSGs. It's a few upgrades down, and they haven't had any upgrades since Melbourne. So those three, as in, when you look at Giuseppe Ranieri, Redshaw and Fidek, to stay there, second, third and fourth, that's an impressive drive. And when you consider the CSGs did that on the prime tyres, Giuseppe Ranieri's fast time I think was in the options anyway. That's impressive stuff. The Kerno looks, upgrade-wise, pretty far back. And so he's got that up into 6th. That's an impressive drive. But, Giuseppe Ranieri, put that in 2nd. That's a good job.
Echo you on those ones. Calvin Holmes did not set a time in that ST in the end, so he will definitely be starting at the rear of the field. So as we just go into the warm-up session, time to tell you all about GPVWC and how you can get involved. For today's broadcast, you can tweet us at GPVWC or using the hashtag GPVWC. I'm also on at Satoramon, if you know me, if quite a lot of you do, and I believe you're at Gamosaurus.
All I'm going to say to people watching, if you try to tweet to get in contact with us, I wouldn't use mine. I don't pay attention to it.
Oh wow. Let's all just send abuse to McGlade. That will do. That will do. But whilst he licks his wounds from all of the soot we're going to send him, just a quick reminder on the Drivers and Constructors Championship. Currently the Drivers' table has Lewis Redshaw on top, ahead of David Fidek and Giuseppe Ranieri, ahead of Jim Parisis, Nick Rowland, Lee Morris, Tom van der Vault was 7th, ahead of Augustin Canapino, Ruud Heesterbeek and Mindergas Columbus, your top 10. The 9 constructors scored in the opening round at Melbourne, and CSG has 45 points ahead of Midnight Motorsport's 27. Torrent Motorsport has got 16 points, but owing to their 4th position that was got to them by Jim, they are counted ahead of Lijo, who also have 16 points in 4th. Then Kernel Sport is in 5th position, courtesy of Morris and Miller's points from the opening round. Ahead of Nord Zone, Target, Phoenix and Red Archer. So 4 constructors. 4 or 5 constructors. Some of the constructors left to score. Maths isn't my strong point after a very long day on a train.
No, not your thing. Okay. Well, we've had an interesting second quali session of the season, and moving forward, hopefully we're going to have a good race. And Giuseppe Ranieri, he struggled to put it up there, as in last time out. He tried to get past Fidek in the latter part of the race, but Fidek was defending very nicely, and obviously he's now in front of that. Can this be Giuseppe Ranieri's win? What's going to happen, temperature-wise with the tyres? This is what we're going to be looking at is strategy, is when people are going to be pitting. Is it going to be a 2-stop or a 3-stop? I'm thinking most drivers are going to probably push for a 2.
I can't see a 1 going down very well.
A one, you're just going to be pushing the tyres too far in the temperatures at the moment. Even out here, it's 40 degrees on track, and it just burned up tyres. We've been told that probably going to be a 3-stop strategy because 2 is not going to be possible because of the temperatures. It's going to be interesting to see, who's going to go where strategy wise, and who's going to come out on top in Malaysian Grand Prix.
Well, because it was for the action, 56 laps. As ever, just for those people that like the statties, damage is set at 75%. We are using our factor, of course, in-house mod. And the only thing that is allowed is an auto clutch, which, to be fair, isn't the most helpful thing allowed out there. But you can have it. Getting used to practice starts on the old warm-up session. What do you use a warm-up session for? And if you say warming up, I will probably facepalm you clout through.
No, I usually use it for the most important thing, which pretty much all drivers tend to forget, which is a toilet break. Because especially when it's a race at this length, when we were doing it in the ITC and when we were racing there quite a lot, you get a couple of, you get a good few warm-up breaks. You get qualifying, then a warm-up, then a race, then a warm-up, then a race, then a warm-up, then a race. So you got quite a few warm-ups to spread yourself out. Whereas here, you're going into an almost, at some point, some races throughout the year might be about 2 hours long. So you need to make sure that you're in the best position.
If that position is squatting over a loo, then so definitely be it. See, now what I would end up doing for warm-up, and I don't know why I do it actually. On the 5-minute one, you can't really do it so much.
Yeah.
But I'd check my launch control for FC because I'm paranoid, especially after round 1 where it went a bit wrong for me. I got a penalty for getting it wrong. I must make sure that it's there and working and fine. And then what I would try and do is do a lap on full fuel, a lap on medium fuel, and a lap on low fuel, but probably in reverse order, so that I can feel comfortable and remember exactly what the grip's like on all 3 types. Don't know, that's just my pre-race ritual.
Well, especially in these cars, that's not a bad shout. These cars are very, very difficult. Well, not like difficult to start, but difficult to start well, I think would be a good way of putting it. It's not as simple as clutch in, accelerate, and then clutch out, and off you go. It's
Tell me that now.
There's an art of doing it, and yeah, I'll tell you that now. Whilst we're not racing it, because if I told you it whilst we were racing, you'd beat me, and then I'd be sad.
Aww. I did notice actually on the live timing I was faster than you for probably the first time ever's. It only happened the once, so I thought I'd get that on air.
Okay, fair enough. Why not?
Little victories, little victories.
Yeah.
5 seconds left of the old warm-up to go then. And let the clowns meet the juggling balls. Probably not the right.
I don't know where you were going with that one, Simon.
No, I don't at all. And to be fair, I don't know where I'm going with most things. Ooh. We may just be a couple of minutes delayed whilst we sort out a couple of technical issues, and whilst we sort out those issues, I think it's time to ask Monsieur McGlade, what do you think your predictions are going to be?
I think Easterbeek's going to win it. That car, it's say second fastest out there, and that's gonna pay a lot into the race as opposed to in a qualifying session. And I'm just kind of thinking that they're going to push forward. I want to see what the CSGs are going to do there. They're starting on the primes. How's that going to affect their race this evening? Is that going to push them further forward? I've been told that ST, who are starting on the primes, they're going to be pushing for a 2-stop because they're starting on the primes, and they might be able to push that out a bit further. So maybe CSG trying the same kind of thing, or they're pretty open to strategy as opposed to the top lot. They can pit pretty comfortably. I think that CSG is going to be leading pretty early on, depending on when the options come in. So I don't know where it's going to go and where the CSG is going to go, but I'm going to say Easterbeek's probably going to win this race.
Great stuff. Just a little bit of development going on the old Hawkeye front. Oskari Kantonen, I don't remember him being in qualifying, but he's now in the server racing for Hawkeye, and he's just saying, I did not know I was racing until about 2 minutes ago. So
That's
clearly
always
the
a
last
comfortable thing.
exactly, he's just asking for your now infamous P break. So sort that one out. I don't know if there was an issue with the other Hawkeye guy, but apparently there's issues all the way round for Hawkeye because Harley Hamnet has disconnected and can't get back in or has disappeared off the face of the earth. So clearly, coming from Australia, he's gone to Melbourne already. Pitch up his tent for free practice one.
Yeah, well, I don't have to pitch up my tent. I can sit back and watch it on TV early on in the morning, as I will be. But the thing is, with Oscari is, he's a good driver. He couldn't, he's come in last moment and he could do well. I think he took part in Super Cup a couple of rounds last season and pushed himself forward. And then obviously this season came out the first round double win, and is second in the championship, I believe, in Super Cup, if I recall correctly. So Oscari Cantonen, good driver, and is one that you'd want to have. If you're going to have a reserve driver for this round, you're going to want to pick someone good from Super Cup, and Oscari Cantonen is one of the best in Super Cup at the moment. So it's a good shout to have him in the car.
Definitely. Another shout out to Tom van der Voe. I was being a bit harsh with him in qualifying. He is racing injured after a martial arts injury, so clearly that flying chop did not go well. And he should be better left with a pork chop.
My mum was cooking pork chops earlier.
Oh, maybe it was your mum that assaulted Van der Voe, and with the pork chop in the study, I shall go to the Cluedo set with that now. Wouldn't it be amazing if we had our own GPVWC Cluedo set? It was Lee Morris in the pit lane with the gear wrench. You could run and run with these.
That would be a game I'd definitely play.
Because you can do those ones where you buy your own Monopoly set and then you can tailor it to exactly how you like. We could do a GPVWC Monopoly set, and obviously where Old Kent Road would be for £2, that would be Backmarker Brigade. And then as you keep going round and round and round as you go, and you get to the greens and the reds, I don't know, Midnight Motorsport has got that dark blue colour anyway, so they might as well be Mayfair.
Do you know what this would be?
Attention, grid, all non-essential personnel leave the grid now.
It would be calling out for the half actor man to shout out, but go for it, mate.
That's all. Just
Is that all?
Yeah. Yeah.
That sounds like a really pathetic Black Lady impression. Oh wow. We're off to the
second
grid.
Race of the season about to get underway.
Aww. I feel like I'm so reined in. The unimpressedness dripping off your tongue as we go into the formation lap then. And it's Rude Heasterbeek that leads us round for Nijo Racing, well ahead of Giuseppe Ranieri for Simcraft Midnight Motorsports. Out the front row. And all CSG row number 2. Lewis Redshaw again ahead of David Vidoc, but the gap ever close, ever close. Jason Muscat 5th for the improved Red Archer VRT, with Lee Morris in 6th position in the first of the Kerno Sports. 7th, Devidas Miziluis.
We've got to work that one out.
Yeah, I had it last race and then I couldn't do it just now. But he's in the second Red Archer VRT. I'll have some more drink in a second, that'll sort it. Gergo Bordy is in 8th for the first of the Hawkeyes. That must be replacing Harley Hamnet, that makes sense now. Jim Paresis in 9th position for Torrent Motorsports. Mindegaus Columbus is 10th for Target Racing. Then Augustin Canapino's 11th for Norge Zone Racing. 12th Petakaza in the second of the Torrent Motorsports, with Nick Rowland 13th for Simcraft Midnight Motorsports. And rounding out the top half of the grid for Nijo Racing is Thomas van der Voort.
Yeah, and then the rest of the grid, you got Bart de Vos van Vodbol in 15th, Kieran Ryan in 16th, Schoten 17th, Jordan Weeks 18th, Boyd Bryson 19th, and teammate to Lee Morris in 20th position. Ran out top 20 is Sam Miller. And Toby Davis, who is 21st, obviously with that 10th place grid job. Qualified quite nicely last time out, and seemed to have decent pace. It's just that car, quite far down the upgrades. Didn't bring too many here, and he's got to work his way up through the field. Obviously with that 10th place grid drop. Behind him, Danny Asbury, for Woods Racing, 22nd. He was running in 12th, I believe, last time out before a brake failure. So, he'd be looking to get himself back into the points. Morten Verneson, 23rd. Mikhail Chimala, 24th. Mark Fuller, 25th. Vinod Moodley, 26th. Calvin Herms is 27th. And rounding out the final place in the grid as a last-minute sub is Oskari Canton in 28th for Hawkeye.
Question to see how he gets on and if he's got a setup at all. Shout out as well to Mikhail Tumala in the Green Stripes racing car, because he managed to drag and kick and scream that Green Stripes to 2.7 seconds off of pole. And that car did not look like doing anything near that at all. So
it's by far the worst car on the grid. And that's not me being harsh. That's according to the statistics.
Stats say.
Stats do, in fact, say.
Survey said. There's Mr. Malush in the background, forever glazing our ears with filth. So, 56 laps of action. He's to be on the pit lane wall. Ranieri on the outside, slightly overshot his box, but let's hope he won't overshoot turn one. Ready or not? Here we go. 56 laps away. The Japan Grand Prix. And Philip gets well away, and there's a big smash towards the back. Oh my goodness me, what happened there? I can see Moodley, Canapino, Vernonson in problems. And yeah, God knows what's gone on there, but several drivers involved. They've all managed to get going. But yes, issues up and down the field. Paresis, though, leads for first position from... Oh no, he doesn't, sorry, Paresis at the back. It's Heasterbeek leading from... Fiduk, who gets retaken by Ranieri, who goes up into second position. Fiduk down to third. Can Lee Morris go around the outside? Yes, he can, just about. Lewis Redshaw taps the back of Fiduk for 4 and 5. Then it's Muscat, Missilis, Boldy, Casa, as Redshaw down to 7th position as Muscat goes through. As he does, he takes on Fiduk. Fiduk goes out wide again. He's being bullied left, right and centre. Down he goes and Fiduk's off. Fiduk's off. I could see that one happening very, very early. Cassa's going through, and that is problems for poor old Missilis. No front wing, and well, that was waiting to happen between several of those drivers because there was too much clanging involved.
Yeah, I was told that the two STs hit each other and Canapino spun. That's what caused just a massive crash towards the back. However, moving away through it is Ruud Heespeak. Although live timing is saying that Jim Paris is leading us, just a glitch. It's Ruud Heespeak currently leading. Giuseppe Ranieri, who had an absolutely awful start. He dropped back behind, I think, the CSGs. However, it may as well back up into second position, slide out of the final 10.
It is Heasterbeek that's lead, Ranieri second, Morris then third, then Muscat side by side, Boldy and Redshaw as Gerger Boldy tries to go around the outside in the Hawkeye. That would be a brave move if he attempts that. He's still in the inside for turn 2 to get your nose out. No contact between the two. Redshaw slightly wrong-sighted. Boldy then goes for the inside for the switcheroo. Round 3 into 4. The end of sector 1. He's still in a slipstream. Look at the way how Redshaw goes to defend. Boldy's going to have to go round the outside. He's got a more supreme line, and that was bold and aggressive, but he's done it. And Redshaw down to 6th. Fiduk 7th. Then Vandervoort was 1 in all of that, up to 8th. Then Casa Schroten into 10th. Beautiful for Woods. Then Davis, Columbus, Weeks, Tumala, Bryson, Canton and DeVos. Vernonson, Ryan, Miller, Asbury and Canapino. Breesis is 23rd, then Fuller is 24th, didn't pit. Roland, Missilis and Herms have all pitted. Moodley crashed out, unfortunately, 2/3 round lap 1 and is out of his first race of 2014.
Yeah, Toby Davis plus 10 at the moment, so that 10th place grid drop in 1 lap, all gone. And he's currently in 11th position to fight his way through the points. And yeah, he seems to be running okay at the moment. So Toby Davis, one that we could look out for maybe later on in the race. Yes, I just saw someone change around. But it's Muscat and Morris going side by side.
It is, and that is Morris taking back Muscat, because Muscat was having a go down at turn 13. It's very difficult, and Muscat holds the position and retakes it back again because he didn't quite get out of the corner well. But Morris straight alongside, and Ranieri is in the pits. I wonder if he's got... Yeah, well, he's up in the air. Very confusing there. But Morris and Muscat side by side. Morris retakes the lead. Contact between himself and Muscat. Morris runs out wide. Behind Boldy and Redshaw again side by side. Redshaw gets back 3rd position. Boldy down to 4th. He's going to try and do exactly the same move as last time. But this time Redshaw is not pulling so defensive. And Boldy's sticking it up the inside. There's going to be rubbing between the two. Redshaw clings on around the outside just about. Keeps 3rd position. Boldy down to 4th, then it's Viaduct. But Rude Heasterbeek then leads the way, from Lee Morris, then Muscat, Redshaw, Boldy, Viaduct, Vandervoort, Casa, Davis, Schroten and Clumbis side by side, and Schroten retakes 10th position. Clumbis back well out of that for target. Weeks to Marla from the back of the grid. Cantonen from last is 14th, and that's problems. Yeah.
And he's going to come under attack as well is Gergo from Tom van der Voort. And a quick thing about Ranieri, he's moved back through the field obviously because of that pit stop. He's gone onto the primes though. I think he's just trying to get those options out of the way because they just overheat too quickly. So, dropping back maybe a strategic thing. You can see him come back later on. Augustin Canapino for 19th and 20th, getting past Morten Wernersen.
So Canapino then up to 19th. Behind them, Paris is just past Asbury for 21st and 22nd. And that is someone in the gravel. That was Mark Fuller, but he's got back out of it again.
Muscat attacking for second.
He is side by side, beautifully down the straight. Muscat to the inside. Morris keeps to the outside. If he can cling on round the outside, he'll have the inside for 2. But Muscat sees that one coming and cuts across beautifully inside. The Red Archer up to 2nd position. Jason Muscat thinks all his Christmases have come at once with this car. Beautifully done. Next up, Rude Heasterbeek.
Yeah, obviously that Red Archer being the best car on the grid statistically when it comes to R&D, and Muscat doing very well yesterday in the Super Cup, having a nice overtake on Dario Tapper through the double apex right-hander, and you were oohing at something?
I was. It was Clumbis and Schroten side by side for 10th round turn 4, and they're going side by side into the far chicane. Clumbis round the outside. Beautiful move through that far chicane, and Columbus goes up into 10th position. Schroten down to 11th for Woods. And I don't think Schroten's quite done with that one yet, as someone's locked up heavily. That was Redshaw down into the end of Sector 2. And Schroten does not try and riposte back on Columbus.
Yep, so we had an interesting start. And Ruud Heasterbeek has currently got a 4-second lead. I said he could be looking good for this one. And he's kind of running away with it at the moment, which is looking good for Ruud Heasterbeek. And championship leader currently sitting in P4. And I think he's closing his way back up to Lee Morris, the back of the podium position. So, Lewis Redshaw could be coming back into a podium fight, bringing along his teammate, David Viaduct.
Dragging them along. They've been like a string between them, dragging each other around all evening, to be fair. It doesn't look like that's going to stop anytime soon. Muscat had a torrid exit out of the final turn and is locking up his wheels into turn 1. Seems to be very much under pressure from Morris, who's keeping him honest to the point of lie detectorism. Ruud Heasterbeek 4.4 seconds clear then, Muscat and Morris. Then it's Redshaw dragging teammate Viaduct along. Baldy into 6th again for Hawkeye. Let's hope that keeps clean for him, unlike last time out. Vandervoort really lucked into 7th position ahead of Casa. Davis has got round both Columbus and Schroten to keep his 9th position. Weeks under attack from Cantonen though for 12th and 13th positions. And Cantonen, I don't think would have been expected to be this far up the field so early, lap 5 of 56.
Yeah, Cantonen on the option tyres. He's been fighting his way up. I said, he's been doing well all week. Cantonen, you are oohing at something again.
That's okay.
What's
you
going
can
on?
continue on. It was all okay. It's just a 17th, 18th, 19th. It was Miller, Calapino and Parisis trying to go 3 wide into the double right-hander, and when you just know that it's not going to work, so you squint anyway. As Ranieri takes Asbury for 22nd position at the back of that little gaggle of cars.
Yeah.
But they're not exactly battling for the top positions at the moment. Continue as you were, my good friend.
I think Canapino will actually work his way through past Miller pretty soon. But yeah, Cantonen, he was doing very well yesterday. He's going to go on the outside of Weeks at the final turn 10-15. Is he actually going to get it done though? I don't know. But yeah, he's been very impressive. And his teammate back then in the Super Cup is currently sitting in P2 and is slightly dropped off the back of Heasterbeek, although not as fast as we've seen previous. So since he's gotten past, he's kept that gap a bit more stable.
The Phoenix F1 drivers are doing a 1-on-2 Marla. Bryson's gone around the outside, Ryan's up the inside, and they've collected each other. Oh no! Phoenix F1, what are you doing? That was not the plan. Kieran Ryan loses out to Tumala, who yoinks the position back. Well done there to Mikhail, because he was attacked from every angle possible. And Ryan's now having another go back through down into turn 4, and that's a much better job of it, Kieran. And up into the points paying position he doth go. Tumala now out of it. And the battle behind there, Paresis has got round Miller and Canapino whilst all that was going on.
Yeah, Chimala had another go in the fast, the high-speed chicane and didn't get past. However, he's going to keep very close to the back of that Phoenix Chimala.
He needs to keep it on the black stuff though. If he continues getting ragged like that, that may cause him issues. And what that's doing is allowing Bart de Vos in the VOD ball racing to close up onto the back of them as Tumala lights up the rear tyres coming out of that hairpin, and that will not give his tyre wear any help whatsoever. Yeah,
you can't push too hard on these tyres too early on because it will just be very problematic. So Jason Muscat is coming up to lap Calvin Hamza for ST. They're not having a good start to race day, and I see Jason Muscat has closed. Yes, Muscat on the fastest lap of the race and has closed that gap by 0.3 on that lap to Ruud Heesterbeek. Yes, this is what we saw a little bit yesterday. Was some driver can run away at the lead and then it comes back to another driver. See, Toby Davis and Columbus are going side by side through turn 1. Columbus is passed in the target on the Nordschen.
Cass passed Van der Vault just ahead of them as well, so it's still very much switcherooing. Canton and Weeks side by side for 12th and 13th position. Weeks retakes Cantonen because Cantonen got round him at turn 1, side by side into 4. Cantonen's got the better line. Weeks backs out of it. It's great to see that Jordan is got a much more of a head on his shoulders compared to what he was last season, where he'd be in all kinds of scrapes. He's got a bit more of a I will finish mentality going on. This time round. Ranieri's passed Sam Miller for 19th as well.
Yeah, he's also got past Canapino, someone that I was thinking might have been a little bit closer in the championship with Ranieri and Canapino. However, long championship and a lot of time to be gained. But Giuseppe Ranieri, it seemed like his strategy earlier in the race might have been to pit and to give himself a lot of free air, and all he's done is he's got himself, that's a dive bomb, has got himself into a lot of traffic, and he gets past Michael Chimala and up into 18th position. Jim Paresis, the next one up the road for Giuseppe Ranieri.
Dive bomb going on behind there between Vernonson and Asbury for 22nd and 23rd, but they stay as their status quo. Tom van der Vault has got back ahead of Petter Kazar, and he's gone into the pits actually, and that's the first person of the front runners who's come in since Ranieri at the end of lap 1 to pit. So interesting to see how Tom's got on, and that may well explain part of his find of pace almost between quali and race trim.
Indeed. It's just, as I say, long race, and it's a long race that can change up quite a lot. We're running at 41 degrees track temperature. It's running very hot, and the tyres they do fall off a little bit. Jason Muscat, I noticed the gap between them as they crossed the line had come down by a couple of hundredths, but nothing significant, nothing notable. But Muscat is gapping Morris, so it's kind of looking like this position, the second position, is looking good for Jason Muscat and that Red Archer.
Paresis passes De Vos for 15th position, and up into the points goes the Torrent driver. De Vos now under attack by Ranieri into the fast chicane, and Bart lives to fight another day by backing out of that one. But Ranieri, next up Paresis, I think may actually be a little bit of an issue to pass potentially because of Jim's usual flair and style, and that could hurt Ranieri's strategy potentially because he needs a nice clean run through this traffic to ensure that his unique strategy works. And in terms of him versus Van der Vault, to be fair, he's got a good 11 seconds advantage, so it's working for him so long as he can keep going through the traffic at this rate.
Indeed, it's just, getting through traffic can be difficult. Let's be honest, some people can fight a little bit harder than others. And I've just noticed that Jason Muscat has closed that gap by a further 0.3 on that lap. So Muscat it's kind of like it's changing it up a bit. Ruud Heesterbeek's definitely not running away with this now as Muscat is closing his way back up further through the field. It's kind of a bit action throughout. Fiddick is closing up to the back of Morris for 3rd and 4th. So that's just reminded me that Fiddick's gotten past Redshaw, which I didn't notice when that happened. But Fiddick on the back of Lee Morris now for that last podium position.
Interesting stuff. Ranieri did get past Paresis. Paresis bizarrely braked with one wheel on the grass into the final turn, so that was never going to work. Opened up the door and let him through. But yes, Fiddick ahead of Redshaw, and certainly taking the battle to the Kernau Sport driver. And I wonder if that car, as the upgrades start to show themselves, as the car gets less and less easier to drive in exactly the style that you want it, maybe starts to bear fruit and exactly where the status quos are on these cars and their upgrades.
Yeah, upgrades very, very important to the 2014 IP40 season of Superleague, and it's the upgrades. If you don't have good upgrades on your car, then you're going to be struggling in the race, and that's why I'm surprised that people like Morris are in third. However, he's just lost that. He's just lost that to David Fidek, has Lee Morris. But to say that he's currently running in 4th position now, is Lee Morris on a car that's not got too many upgrades. It's quite impressive to see that in driver wire.
Well, he's going to be diving through on the slipstream down into turn 1 potentially. Fidek keeps it round the outside, but that's a little bit too wide on the apex through the middle part. He needs to keep that tighter so that he had the inside line for 2. And if he's not careful, Monsieur Redshaw may have his little Britney look, because much like his Britney Spears counterpart, he's not wanting just the top 5s. He would like to get back to a number 1 position. Who else is changing? Because I saw someone else flip
Petacasa
through.
getting past Gogo Bowdy in 6th and 7th, I believe, because I saw that Bowdy was trying to attack or trying to defend.
He was trying to defend, it was, because Casa was behind and now he's ahead.
Yeah, see, this is something that I've noticed, is that that was Petacasa coming past on the prime tyres in comparison to Gogo Bowdy's options. So, the options, maybe they're dropping off a little bit pace-wise.
Possibly, and Bowdy needs to get himself a move on, because Cantonen has just passed Schroten for 10th position, and he's only 6 seconds behind his teammate. And bearing in mind Cantonen started last on the grid, that's not a big gap. So Cantonen, with last minute subbing in, could well be the shocker here to see what he can actually pull off by the end.
Indeed. But we're not even 20% through this race at the moment. Obviously, 10 laps completed as Rudy's to be across the line this time, and a long way to go. As Redshaw, nope, it was just a glitch. Never mind.
Right it down the inside of Morris into 1.
No, that's
no
Muscat.
contact between Redshaw and Morris. Morris, they're stuck between a needle and a hard place. Poor guy. And I saw a spot of rain. It's raining! A spot of rain on the track!
Interesting.
Malaysian showers! Redshaw has a right good go at Morris, but that's not going to work out. And suddenly, we have the first big issue going on as Ranieri passes Ryan for 14.
Yeah, just to really, really quickly point out, the person who has been just so unlucky is Jason Muscat, who just went into the pits to switch onto the prime compound tyres as it started to rain. It's really not worked out for him. I believe we have intermediate tyres though, so the new compound for us to play about with, for us to see how it's all going to work. So we're in the interesting phases of trying to find out what's going to happen rain-wise.
And it always takes a little while for it to build up, obviously, because there's still points where it is faster to be on the dries than the wets. As Redshaw, I think, is going to have I don't know if that was half a stab or if that was just a complete outbreaking there into the final turn. Managed to salvage it quite nicely on the exit. And Morris now under attack by Redshaw. Look at them weaving down the back straight. Fidek on Morris. Morris with Redshaw behind. Ranieri's just passed Boyd Bryson, the 13th position. So it's still aggressive tactics to be taken. And I think Redshaw's going to have another half stab down this straight because he's sucked up into the slipstream, doing nicely. And will he ever go down to 1? Yes, he's thinking of it. But I think it's difficult to do the overtaking moves. You need to have extra patience and extra balls, dare I say, because you're not quite sure 100% of what the grip is when you get there.
Yeah, also for you Muscat fans watching, if anyone was wondering, as Redshaw's pulled out on Morris. But yes, the wetness did not go up very much. It only went up to about 2 or 3%. It's coming back down. It's a little bit wet offline. However, the racing line is dry at the moment.
Well, that's going to throw a cat amongst the pigeons, though, because if it does that the once, then it makes you think, will that want to do it again? Redshaw appears to really have the legs on Morris. Morris not liking this soggy biscuit section of the GP, and he's definitely got better traction out of the corners. And of course, Morris on the option tyres against Redshaw on the prime. It's no wonder when you're on lap 12 of 56 that those tyres are starting to look a little bit second hand as Lewis attacks a curb, gets away with it just about.
Oh, something interesting. P12 and P13. Jason Muscat, Giuseppe Ranieri. These two, I saw Giuseppe Ranieri put in quite early on in the race. Jason Muscat, also one of the people who has done a pit stop as Giuseppe Ranieri gets past at turn 11.
That's for net position, isn't it?
That is a net position right there.
Beautiful stuff. Everyone cast their nets. Weeks is just up ahead of them, so that could change everything. The two Phoenix is just behind with Paresis in 16th out of the points. Mingaus Columbus pops into the pits for Target Racing. So he's having a go. And Redshaw and Morris down into turn 1 for 3rd position. And Redshaw right through. And yeah, beautifully done. And I don't think Morris has anything to say for it. Those tyres looking so second hand. I would not give them to charity shops.
Well, wonderful.
Wow.
That's Columbus, who's also into the pit lane. I see it's one of the Phoenixes as well. I'm not really sure which one it is. I believe...
Kieran Ryan.
Kieran Ryan, yes, into the pit lane as well. But yes, so we're in our first sort of pit stop phase, which I think he's to be probably in a lap or two's time to get himself some prime tyres, which means that David Fidek will take the lead of the race. Whoop, whoop. Whoop, whoop, indeed. The CSG this season has been looking very nice and continuing on to round 2. Even though they haven't put that many upgrades on the car, it's looking good.
Definitely. It seems to be, unlike that Eiffel 65 song, it seems to be that green is my favourite colour. If you want to be a winner this year as Ranieri on Weeks, that was a good little last minute duck out because that could have been issues. He needs to clear Weeks before Muscat gets his tyres completely up to temperature and tries to have a go back at Giuseppe Ranieri. And turn 13! Oh my goodness me. That must have been butt clenching for Ranieri. Down the inside into 13. If you can get the traction on the exit, it does work beautifully well. Now it'll be a drag race all the way down to the final turn of turn 15. And we'll soon see how that one works.
Davis, Audi into the pits. Also Lee Morris and Ruud Heasterbeek continues going round.
Contact between Ranieri and Muscat as Morris and Co are in the pits. But as Morris pulls out of the pits, he's going to rejoin behind these lot because they're coming down pit road. And start finish straight. And Ranieri outside into turn 1 on Weeks. He comes back in. There's contact. Weeks goes round. Muscat manages to avoid it. That was probably the best that they could have made of that situation. What a shame there for Jordan. Couldn't quite see who was the person at fault there. But Jordan Weeks unfortunately rejoins in 13th position after that spin.
Yeah, good avoidance by Muscat there, actually. Must be said. Reacted to the situation very nice and very quickly.
Well, I suppose Muscat, and it would be cat-like reactions. So, cat by name, cat by nature.
I've also, actually, just to really quickly point out who's running in 5th position at the moment. Obviously, with the pit stops playing out, currently in 5th is Roy Schroten for Woods Racing, and their car is certainly not good enough to be running in that position, and that's impressive. That's impressive stuff there.
And he's making the options last as well, isn't he? As is Ruud, to be fair, who's going round again. For lap 15, closing down on Mizilis, who is sadly a very battered car in that Red Archer because he just does not have any of the pace that he had prior to being bald.
Giuseppe Ranieri and Oskari Kantanen, P6 and P7. And to bring that up, Oskari Kantanen jumping in last minute and currently running in 7th position now as Giuseppe Ranieri gets past no problem. That's good stuff from him. Giuseppe Ranieri up into 6th position as Oskari Kantanen heads into the pits. Roy Schroten continues to go round, and only 3 of the top 10 at the moment are running on the options.
Yep, indeed. As Boyd Bryson pops in for the Phoenix F1 team, and I'm sure I saw a few others looking like they were avoiding pits. That was Jordan Weeks, passing Sam Miller for 11th and 12th position. That's what I was looking at. So currently, with a few people still yet to pit, it's Heasterbeek leading from Fidek and Redshaw. Cassers 4, Schroten in 5th, Ranieri 6th, Muscat, Paresis, Morris and DeVos your top 10 with Weeks, Miller, Vernonson, Asbury and Tom van der Voort. Rounding out your point scoring positions. Still just a single retirement in Vinod Moodley, who didn't make it round the opening lap. So nice rate of attrition so far as Heasterbeek's in.
Okay, so with Heasterbeek, I think Roy might be coming in this lap as well. And it's all about where Heasterbeek's going to come out in comparison to the rest of the field. Obviously, Fight Redshaw, they're going to go past and take the lead, as they would. I think Petter's going to come through as well, but they're on the prime compound tyres. Rude's gone onto the prime compound tyre and is going to come out of the pit lane now. And is he going to come into the pits?
Yeah.
Yes, he is, which means Rude Heasterbeek is going to be in a strong 4th position after pitting.
And importantly, that keeps him ahead of Ranieri, Muscat, and all the rest that are behind. Paresis, who's slightly out of sync as well. Morris then goes up to currently 8th position. And where is Schroten going to come in as Bart de Vos pits as well? He's going to... Yeah, Schroten's actually going to lose out slightly because there's a few people who are on the longer strategies that need to sort stuff out, as Vernonson and Van der Voort side by side for 10 and 11th. Not seen Morten Vernonson that high up in a Super League race for a very, very long time, if ever, and Vernonson goes defensive on Van der Voort. But I've got a funny feeling that Mr. Thomas will be steaming through into turn 3. No, Vernonson shuts the door and says no thank you very much, and keeps the position just for now. But Vernonson, I think, is...
Oh,
he's round, he's round, he's
wow.
round. I was going to say he's the last person that needs to pit, and clearly that shows your tyres need to be put back on the shelf, mate. In he comes. He's got a puncture. No, he's okay.
No, it's okay. It's just if you take too much of the curb on the inside of 5, it doesn't matter really where your tyres are. It will spin you.
Yeah, it's
with
horrific,
the addition,
that curb.
With the addition of, a lack of tyre, it's just absolutely horrible going through there. His outside line through 4, that is something I think is going to come into play throughout quite a lot of the races. Through turn 4, if you pick the outside line when attacking or defending, the outside line generally seems to be the fastest and the easiest to either defend or attack on.
Yeah, definitely. We've seen that time and time again so far, actually, people going around the outside and just yoinking it, because it just seems like the natural camber of the circuit there.
Yeah, it's just a little bit easier to pop it around the outside there. I think what would be our theoretical lead is Ruud Heasterbeek. Currently would sort of lead by just over 5 seconds, so he's still got a decent lead, and it's been extended obviously with Jason Muscat coming in and having a little problem with the rain. Jason Muscat has lost out quite a lot in the consideration he was running in second earlier on.
Yes, indeed. Maybe that avoiding action did give him a couple of seconds. Van der Voort and Boldy still battling over 10th position. Boldy's taken Van der Voort, but they were side by side through turns 1 and 2. And now Garibaldi ahead of the Nijo driver, which is resuming where they were prior to pit stops. Boldy lost out during that phase. As Redshaw's in to the pits.
Okay, right. That's interesting. That
didn't get much further, did he?
No, not really. And the consideration as to Ruud's run on the options, that's not really that long. But it makes me think that David Fidek will be in shortly, as well, as those two were running very close and very nice back in Australia. I think Fidek's will come in soon, but those tyres not lasting quite as long as as long as I thought.
No, not at all. Vernonson rejoined in 25th position, is just about to be overtaken by Missilis, as they are the last unlapped runners. So Morton's still running, just to let everyone know that. And they're about to lap, actually. The only person that they're ahead of, Calvin Hermsey, who's going to be lapped by the entire field very shortly. So not the best birthday present that Calvin can have, as Ranieri on Redshaw. Redshaw does exactly what Mr. McGlade suggests and keeps to the outside. And that keeps him on 4th position. But Ranieri, look at that. Wow.
That's grip right there, yeah.
That is a difference between a warmed up tyre and a cold tyre, quite clearly.
Yeah.
Tell you what, stick that one in the oven, Lewis. That's not done yet. You need to poke it with a stick and make sure there is no liquid runny bits. There's my catering.
Wonderful. I'm interested to see what Giuseppe Ranieri is going to do, actually, at this point, because when Redshaw pitted on the previous lap, Giuseppe Ranieri pitted after the last couple laps, So we're told that David's in and Petter is in. Rudolph is going to stay around and take the lead. But how long are these tyres going to last for Giuseppe Ranieri? Because obviously he pitted very, very early on in the race. And so those tyres are going to be almost, approaching 20 laps old at the moment. It's just past 15 laps old, so those tyres probably aren't going to be looking the best way.
No, and where Hasterbeek has taken the lead, net time-wise, he's lost out to Fiddick, who has got out ahead of Ranieri, who is essentially going to be needing to pit again very shortly, unless he's done some miracle grow cure on the tyres. And he's had to do quite a lot of fighting to get up the field as well, which can do no good to your tyre wear, surely. So he's in third. Redshaw then 4. Muscat 5, who needs to do it all again. Parisis in 6th position. He's a little bit of the oddie one out. Then Casa 7. Lee Morris lost out really, down in 8th position, hasn't he? But he's now on the faster option tyres, so look for fireworks from him. Weeks in 9th position, I believe yet to stop. Then Vandervoort 10, who too has lost out. Columbus 11. Davis now up to 12.
Garibaldi out of the race.
Oh, yeah, he's crashed it. He is
in
in 18th at the moment, and he's lost he's lost the rear left tyre in quite a huge way, and that is coming out. Yeah, flips into the barrier with Vandervoort. Bizarre incident. Those two were going nuts earlier on, but yeah, clip from Vandervoort, and off and over he goes. Gergo Baldi, out of the race again.
Don't worry, you'll get that right by some point at the end of the season.
It just looks like Gregor to me.
Someone to point out, yes, Ranieri and David Fiddick very close together. David Fiddick's last, I think, 5 laps of the previous stint that he was on. Very, very quick lap. Kevin Helms out of the race, as you said on his birthday. Ranieri
down the inside, and nicely done there by Ranieri. Fiddick not fighting it massively. I wonder if that's him thinking of the long game, because Ranieri is clearly on a different strategy to the rest of the world.
And the sister team relation between the two is obviously going to affect that quite a lot. But Giuseppe Ranieri, he's closing in on that lead. He's looking faster than Hasterbeek, obviously, with the lack of fuel in the car. So those tyres not dropping off quite as much as one would expect. I'm wondering how many stops does he think he's going to have to make?
I don't know. Jordan Weeks and Nick Rowland both in the pits. Nick Rowland's going to rejoin outside the points as he makes his recovery. Weeks rejoined in 14th position. I'm thinking with Giuseppe, he's going to really have to either make this or the next stint massively long. Rain. Sorry, I was just distracted by the fact that there was drops as Michael Fuller and Mikhail Tumala go hammer and tongs for 22nd and 23rd just as the rain started to fall. And I think Fuller just kind of went for a little bit of an outbreaking session. Tumala retakes the position. Good stuff to see Mark Fuller out battling in anger.
So he is either going to pit for the options. No, yeah, he's definitely going to have to pit for the options. There's only 3% wetness out there. It's not wet enough to go onto inters. So yeah, he's going to stay onto the option tyres. Have a look. He's going to stay on option on the primes even. So he's already used the options early on in the race. Yeah, so
sorry, primes of the way.
Yeah, I think it should be primed to the end. So I reckon he'll do this for a good few laps, and then probably come in for another set of primes later on in the race after maybe about 18 laps on these tyres.
I just don't get then why he pitted at the end of lap 1, because he's not used the speed of the option tyre to any effect at all.
This. I think we've got to wait and see how this one, puts itself out. When you think of it, did the options, pitted very early, then did the primes, and was right towards the back of Ruud Hasterbeek at the end of the last stint. So it seemed to work out quite nicely for him, and we just have to wait and see how the strategy is going to work out. If he thinks, I can get the most out of these tyres for 18 laps, and these tyres are good. If I do 3 stints on them, then what do I have to do? I have to get the options out of the way as quickly as possible, so I pit early. So he's thought about the strategy and how it's going to work, and it's just looking like he's going to go for a nice 18-lap split between each of them. And as we've just been told, Lee Morris passed Petter Carter for 6th and 7th.
Indeed, Kieran Ryan got around Jordan Weeks for 13th and 14th as well. So still plenty of stuff out there. The track's still a little bit damp, but not really increasing in its drama. We've just lost Calvin Herms as well, who is disconnected from the race. That's our third retirement. 2:25 remaining, all of them on the lead lap as well, so that's good to see as we're coming up to lap 22 of 56 being darted. So Rude Heasterbeek leads the way, 1.8 seconds ahead of Viaduct, then it's Redshaw, Muscat 4, Paris is 5, Morris 6 now ahead of Casa in 7, Ranieri in 8th, 25 seconds off. And that's roughly around what you'd need for an extra pit stop, so he's got stuff to make up on. 24 seconds already the gap reduced, he needs to hammer it round like quali laps. Then it's Van der Vault, Columbus, Davis, Shrewton, Ryan, Weeks and Bryson, your point scorers.
Yep, something very, very quick to point out is how much faster Fike's been lapping than Rude Heasterbeek. He's been, somewhere close to, a few tenths here and there, just closing in and currently that gap. I think it's only about 1.5 seconds at the moment. It's David Fike at the back of Rude Heasterbeek. So Rude Heasterbeek is trying to save those tyres and push for a 2-stop. Or what not, apparently 18th position's got a little bout, and it does indeed. Augustin Canapino and Sam Miller. And Canapino nicely through on Sam Miller for 18th position. It's not really where I'd expect Augustin Canapino to be, though, although apparently he had not the best start to the race. And,
Come a while to get through, really, didn't it? But we see them soldiering on. Asbury is under attack from Roland, just behind them. And Missalis and Tumala battling over 22nd and 23rd as well, so some drivers really out of position from where we initially thought they were, as Jim Parisis pops into the pits from 5th position, leading Torrent Motorsports at the moment. Just a couple of seconds between them. Morris and Casa goes through, and I'd expect Ranieri, who's lighting up his tyres like some kind of pyromaniac in that final turn, will go through too, and he'll rejoin somewhere around Van der Vault and Columbus.
Yeah, I'm still interested to see how this strategy is going to work out. Jordan Weeks off the track. I'm not sure whereabouts that is. I think that's at turn 1. Or nope, it's at the turn 14.
Yeah.
Actually, it's Jordan Weeks off in the gravel. Clearly looking at how Sergio Perez drives this track and trying to copy.
Strangely, though, for Jordan Weeks, he kind of straddled the outside curve there, and that turn 14 is evil, isn't it? It's one of those difficult ones where you pick a line and hope for the best.
Yeah. Also, we were just told earlier on as Gogo Baldi leaves the game. It's fine. He retired a while ago. Nick Rowland got past Danny Asbury, but we've been told that he's having a little bit of problems with the keyboard in pit lane. Yeah, when he's selecting his tyres and stuff for pit stops, so that's going to be uncomforting. I hope he ran the options earlier in the race. I think he did, because he's currently running on the prime, so hopefully he did. And so he didn't actually have to, deselect tyres and change tyres around. So, yeah, hopefully that worked out. I think I've just been told that Jason Muscat is the fastest of the top lot at the present moment in time. He is on the primes. The highest up on options at the moment is Lee Morris in 5th. He is the only person in the top 10 to be running on the option compound tyres.
Brave stuff, different strategies, and it's part of the fun that we like to see here at GPVWC. Oskari Kantonen just took Boyd Bryson around the double right-hander for 14th and 15th positions. They're both on option tyres, but they're clearly not in the top 10. And the split is about 2/3 on the primes against the options, really. So you can see that there is definitely a preferred option as Morris versus Casa kicks off for 5th position. And yeah, Lee doing this option is due, isn't he, the next lap or two for his tyres to really fall off the cliff.
Yeah, I think this is what I was saying about this thermal degradation on the tyres, is that they don't really degrade properly. It will still show you've got plenty of bars left to tyre and your percentages are fine. It's just the tyres are too hot to be driven. This is what I found a lot of testing for Formula Challenge with Peter. It's just you drop off the tyres because of heat as opposed to because the tyres are actually gone. It's just the way they're working. These options, they just overheat too quickly, and so I think he's just got to call it quits and do the prime compound tyres for the next few laps.
At the front, Heasterbeek 1.8 still clear of Fidek. Redshaw is closing him down, and Muscat's closing him down, so they're concertinaing up the front. Morris under attack from Casa, who's picked up the slipstream. I think he'll fancy a dive down into turn 1. Morris goes wide, hoping for the inside for 2. Casa gives him a mini lean, but gets still room for the pair of them. And if Casa's good, he'll just let him run out wide and then follow him round for 3 and see what he can do for 4. But Morris, strangely, not too bad on the traction out. Keeps to the outside line, McGlade's preferred line. Ooh. And it's worked. See?
Yeah.
You've got skills on the old prediction front.
I will just to point out, Ruud Heasterbeek has gapped Fidek quite a lot. It was down at about 1.3 seconds earlier on. However, Ruud is currently picking up his pace. And as they cross the second sector split, what is that gap going to be? I'm going to assume about 2.1. Oh, 1.6 has gone down a lot.
Well, they've had to deal with Mikhail Tsumala to lap him. I wonder if that has kind of shaken them up ever so slightly. Because obviously, it doesn't matter how a lapped car is, your eye is taken momentarily off the ball, isn't it?
Yeah, I've just been told that Muscat is about half a second quicker than anyone at the moment. He's just on a 33.414 on his previous lap. And Muscat, I believe I just saw flying to the pit lane, as yes he did. Yesterday he did look like he had some pretty poor tyre wear, so they were dropping off pretty quick in comparison to everyone else. Muscat into the pits.
Yep, Casa through and Morris exactly the same time, so it's all kicking off here at the Sepang International Circuit. Casa stays to the inside. Morris is quite fancying a dash through on the outside, but breaks on the curb. Just about gets away with it nicely. And Casa through before they get to Tsumala, who can't interfere so much now. And up to 4th he goes. Where does Muscat rejoin? Behind Giuseppe Ranieri, but literally only just.
Yeah, these two, they're both pitted twice, have Muscat and Ranieri. The last time, Ranieri pitted very early on in the race, and Muscat pitted obviously a lot later, but they came out roughly around each other, and they're the only people who pitted twice. But Giuseppe Ranieri looks like he's got a nice lead over Muscat at the moment. I believe that's Tom van Voort, who's just been also into the pit lane, has come out in front of Boyd Bryson for 14th position, just behind a battle for Oskari Kantonen and Kieran Ryan for 12th and 13th.
Yes, indeed. I decided to throw my mouse everywhere. Sorry about that. Kieran Ryan gets ahead stays ahead of Kantonen just for now, and that's someone off the track. It's David Missilis into the pits. But yes, plenty of action in the midfield, and this is all for points as Kantonen does another one of those round in the far chicane jobbies and takes 12th position. He's on the option tyres, as is Ryan though. Oh, and Van der Voort, they're practically smacking Ryan out of the way. Ryan, I don't know if he's just wrong-sighted or out of sync with everyone else, but that did not look like a grip-happy man. And he needs to get that back under his ring again. And if he can't deal with it, let Bryson through for the team.
Yeah. But Van der Voort up into 13th position. That car, as we've said, it's probably the second best car on the grid at the moment, and he's just trying to push his way forward. Lee Morrison into the pits. Okay, very well. I would expect that around about now. I'm assuming, yes, he has indeed gone onto the primes, as I believe he probably should have done earlier on in the race, but the driver has all that information that they know what the score is, they know what's going on, and so they probably know what's right for their car.
You'd kind of think that pushes him now to a 3-stopper, because it's going to be very doubtful to get that 29 laps all the way round.
Yeah, no, there's no way he's going to get that 29 laps. He's probably going to go halfway and then pit. Yeah, so told that primes can only do about 18 or 19 laps. So it's it's interesting that he has taken the strategy option prime for Lee Morris, unless he's going to go prime and then back onto the options again, which I think would be a not too great choice.
Canapino takes DeVos for 16th and 17th at exactly the same place, just 3 seconds behind. Nick Rowland takes Sam Miller for 18th and 19th. So we'll get down into the turn 1 crowd if you want to see all of the overtakes going on at the moment. Looking quite nifty as Heasterbeek's 1.7 ahead of Fidek with Redshaw now right on his teammate's tail and putting pressure on really for the first time since Fidek overtook him.
Yeah. Your top 10 at the moment, however, whilst pit stops have all paid out and pretty much everyone is on the primes, and I think most of the people in that top 10, other than Superleague and Jason Muscat, have pitted twice. Actually, Lee Morris obviously pitted twice as well. You've got Ruud Heasterbeek currently leading by 1.9 seconds over David Fidek, who's only just ahead of his teammate by half a second. There's Redshaw, championship leader in P3. Petakasa, a long way back from those two. In P4 at the moment for Torrent Motorsports. There's Giuseppe Ranieri in P5, Jason Muscat 6th, Columbus 7th, doing a good job for Target. Toby Davis in 8th position after that 10th-place grid drop, running quite nicely. Jim Paresis 9th, and Lee Morris in 10th position, rounds out top 10. And, okay, so, where is Ruud Heasterbeek and all that going to pit? I don't know. When was the last time they pitted? Was about 10 laps ago. So, expecting those to go for quite a while longer, and push towards probably pitting in about 10 laps time. I'm wondering what Ruud Heasterbeek's going to be doing pit stop wise, because is he going to be pushing for the 2-stop? He started on the options, pushed those quite far, and prime wise, it looks like he might be able to be one of the few people at the front who can be 2-stop. Separating pretty much completely 3-stop. I think pretty much most of the people on the grid are going to be 3-stopping. Apparently Jason Muscat might be on a 2-stop, although being told about his tyre wear, I'm not really too sure if he will be able to do that. However, P2, P3, Lewis Redshaw right in the back of David Fidek, and having a look to move himself further up in the podium positions. And not getting past at the moment. However, where is a fight on the grid at the moment? I don't think we've really got any. I think everyone's spaced themselves out and has given us a little bit of a breather. And the closest battle P1 and P2 and P3, which is 2 seconds off the lead. Can these lot close up to the back? Oscari Canton into the pits. P down into P13 now. And he's currently moved. I think Boyd Bryson's also been to the pit lane. Nope, he's just gone past.
Yeah, he's in as well. He's in as well as battle of the pit crews continue. That allows Jordan Weeks up a couple of positions as he tries to recover from his earlier spin issues. This track still looks slightly darker than what it should be, so I don't think we're away from those weird little 2 and 3% rain showers anytime soon. Let's look at Redshaw and Fidek down into turn 1, and that's Bryson coming out the pits at the same time. Oh my goodness me, that could have been a real smasheroo. Redshaw goes through. That was a dice of death. But he's managed to come out of it all the same, and Fidek lost out actually quite a lot of time coming out from turns 2 and 3. And what this will do is they continue their little battle. Not only will it help Ruud Heasterbeek, but providing that Jason Muscat keeps in clear air as he is at the moment, it's only going to help him too.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It's Columbus pits.
Columbus into the pits in the top 10, which is to see where he'll come out. But yeah, that top lot, Redshaw getting past Fidek, that's going to be important for his race to move himself further up. And as we were discussing, with this 2-stop strategy that we think Ruud's going to be running, ST running a 2-stop strategy as well, from what I'm told, and Muscat possibly trying to push for that. As I just saw someone moving around further back. Well, that might have just been my eyes deceiving me. I think it was just my eyes deceiving me. Well, I did actually a long time ago though. My eyes they fail to work.
Aw, never mind. There's disability living allowance for that. What else have we got going on? Out and about. Nick Rowland up into the points at last. Midnight Motorsport car. You'll be delighted with that if we can hold that one going on. Cantonen back out of it again due to pit stops and all of its shenaniganery. And currently the top 19 drivers are on the lead lap at the moment. And this battle between CSG Racing, given a second to Redshaw, he's now 2.7 clear of Redshaw and Fidek. That can't hurt him and his cause at all.
Yeah, we said earlier that the top 10 are on Prime. This is now the top 14 that has spread to. The top 14 people running on Prime compound tyres, and that is just clearly the best race tyre out there, which is And yeah, as I was saying, it's just these options, they overheat too quickly. So yeah, it's working out. I'm quite impressed there with Nick Rowland. He's moved himself up into P14. I'm not really sure how much practice he's done for this. I think he's had more time to prepare for this drive as opposed to previously in Australia, where I think he did a very good job to put it up into, I believe it was P6 or something like that. Mm-hmm. Obviously that car now, it's to be fair and quite harsh. Upgrade-wise, it looks like it's more of a sort of high end of the midfield kind of car, as opposed to last time where it was a front runner. So it's interesting when you look at it that way.
Just lost Mark Fuller, unfortunately, for SG Racing. He has disconnected, and that's a shame because that's both STs disconnecting from the game, and a double retirement for the team that appeared to be slightly struggling, as is already.
Just told that Redshaw was 4 tenths faster than reading that last lap, so Redshaw going very nice and very quick at the moment. And it's a shame for ST. I know they've been having quite a lot of money problems, and so they pulled one of their cars out, and it was apparently a game freeze for Fuller. That's his reason for not being able to take part further on in the race. It's always a shame when that kind of happens, especially when you put a lot of practice into it.
Lap 32 then, so 56. All going nicely for Rouge Easterbeek. Although Redshaw slowly starting to get the old fishing reel out. Get going on the reeling in. Casa, very quiet on his first race for 2014, but effective nonetheless. 4th position in that car that reminds me a little bit of a 1992 Fond Metal F1 car. And then Ranieri on his extreme strategy, not working because he'd got that gap down between himself and Easterbeek to about 22 seconds, and it's now gone up to 26 again. So I don't know if he shot his bolt too early, and that's caused him an issue as Roland passes Van der Vault.
I saw
De Vos for 13th, 14th.
I saw Denny Asbury, who's just entered the pit lane, was trying to get out of the way of Redshaw. However, it's just kind of got a really kind of sloppy towards the end of the back straight, and Redshaw lost a lot of time there, sliding about. So Redshaw losing a few tenths, trying to get past the back marker.
Yeah, as they come across the line 2.5, that equates to just over a tenth. So yeah, tenths are all that matters.
Indeed.
And slapping Kieran Ryan as well. So here's where the traffic starts to come into play. And to be fair to everyone, they're only being lapped now, and they're all battling over the lower end of the points paying positions. They're going to be in their best interest to not just jive out of the way, because they know that doing that is going to cost them potentially that 14th and 15th position that those Phoenix guys have been battling over all race.
Yeah, I mean, you think of it last time, I think we had, by the end of the race, I think it was actually all the way up to about, I think it was past the top 10 that we had all lapped.
Yeah,
and now we'll look at this halfway through the race, of course, so a long time to go. We've got 16 people currently unlapped at the moment.
Oh, Kieran Ryan! Careful, careful, careful. We'd lost it into turn 14.
Ooh.
Those tyres looking a wee bit not quite up to scratch. And Lewis Redshaw had to take a bit of an avoiding action. And David Fiduk, I think, will be the luckier one to get past him on the straight, so long as he doesn't T-bone him into the corner. And Kieran giving CSG a little bit of a heart in mouth moment, I think there.
I think it's something that you touched on last time out, was that when you're coming up to back markers, you not really want to be the leading car, because you're the one that grabs their attention. It's like, oh, there is someone behind me. Oh dear, I'll get out of the way now. When they're like right up behind you, whereas when you're P2 or something like that, they're expecting you to come along, and that's something that you touched on the last race, and
especially if you're only going to get lapped the once, because it does wake you up to it. If you're constantly being done, then that's not so bad. As Fiduk is it's Casa in the pits from 5th position, which now lets Muscat through. So Casa exiting the pits as the Norge zone of Toby Davis comes in from 7th, and nice and as you were for those guys.
Yeah, I think Redshaw and Fiduk, they might be trying to push it, lap wise, to try the old two-stop. If they can go, I mean, you say that the tyres can last about 18, 19 laps. They've got to push it out for a few more. So no, they've got to go on to the options of the CSGs. I remember now.
Yep.
The CSGs haven't done their option stints. They've got to push it out a very long way if they want to do that. So they're definitely three-stopping. Never mind, ignore me.
They could still potentially do it. It depends. They needed to maybe have been a bit more gentler. And if with Redshaw in this lap, I think that actually does confirm we will be doing a free stopper. Though there's a few people contemplating the twos, but not really helping at all. He's to beat new fastest lap. That pulls him 3.990 seconds clear of David Fiduk, which is the biggest gap he's had this entire stint so far. And yes, this is definitely falling into Heasterbeek's favour for the time being in the Nijo. Whereas Redshaw going to pull out in relevance to Ranieri. He's just flooring it out of the straight now, but Ranieri is coming up past, and I think he'll have him by the time they get out of the pit lane and down to one. Only just. That's closer than what it was before. Ranieri nips ahead of Lewis Redshaw, but what is Ranieri's state of his tyres, and what on earth will he do to try and grab it? He'll have to pit again. Surely he'll have to pit again.
Yeah, just Ranieri going to be pitting later on in the race. I think Redshaw obviously has to as well, being on the primes. He needs to pit for options, so that's a legit move for position. Ruud Heasterbeek is the only person who I think has got to pit. I think he's only got one more pit stop left on his books. As obviously starting on the options, moved them quite far into the race. Went the primes, should probably be pitting in about 5 or 6 laps time is Ruud Heasterbeek, and then will probably run until the end. So Ruud Heasterbeek, I reckon, will be two-stopping.
Prediction. If I had a beard, I'd be scratching it and raking it for safety.
I do, so I can.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh, I can hear it.
Yeah.
Oh, pass me a match. I'll strike it up. Amaze balls. I tell you what, either that or just get me some kind of weird furry costume, furry onesie, and then I can hibernate inside. Just whilst we're on a very, very small down point, have you ever read Roald Dahl's The Twits?
No.
There's a great picture on about page 6 or 7 where it's what's inside Mr. Twits's beard as Columbus nearly clouts the back of Shroton from 9th and 10th. In fact, we'll dive off of that for a second because Columbus looks quite funny. But yeah, what it does is it takes a little magnifying glass and it puts inside what's in your beard. And it's put me off ever dating someone with a beard ever again, because just the amount of stuff that can be found in someone's beard if you've just missed your mouth or something.
It's not a large beard, I'll say. It's just because I've been lazy. It's okay.
Columbus on Shroton then for 9th position, and he's done it. Oh, that was bizarre. Columbus had done it before they... that's why. Shroton's into the pits. I was going to say, Shroton's completely outbroke him, even though he wasn't even looking like trying.
Yeah.
So Shroton's in, and this could be points for Woods.
Yeah.
I think they'll welcome that quite nicely, because the Woods curse certainly struck.
Yeah, I don't think we should have brought up Woods. If I'm honest, they were running quite nicely. Both cars actually were in the points at one point last time out, and then a brake failure on Asbury's car, and I can't remember what happened to Shroton's, but a few cars in behind them. I believe one was Ruud Heasterbeek. It is indeed Ruud Heasterbeek into the pit, and David Fiduk into the pits as well.
That stops any pit stop drama for them. Weeks and DeVos were the other two. Heasterbeek gets away nicely, and he should, in theory, stay ahead of Ranieri.
Which, let's have a look as Ranieri's coming down towards turn 1. It's not going to be too close. I think Ruud Heasterbeek's clear. But this pretty much confirms it. Oh, wow, yes.
Around the outside does Redshaw go. Does he? Yes, he has to proper go on the brakes again. The CSG guys busy taking time off of each other in their own personal battle, and they need to be thinking Giuseppe and Heasterbeek are up ahead. Uh-oh.
Yeah. Now, my prediction at the moment would be Ruud has this one easily. I think Ruud's now going to go into the end of the race, and so he hasn't got another stop to do. However, the 3 cars very close behind him, they all have to stop again. Ranieri probably going to take the lead and the consideration that his car is a lot lighter, he'll probably take the lead in a couple of laps' time. If not at the end of this one, and there is a lot of traffic up ahead with Morten Furness and Vodball just in front of Ruud at the moment. I think there's a Phoenix as well just down the road. So
yeah, Jordan Weeks and Bart de Vos, the two of them, as Ranieri takes a completely different line through turn 14 to Heasterbeek that time round, therefore visually displaying exactly how different everyone's lines are around that corner. What I'd like to, if anyone does have R Factor and you've got that VCR merge thing, it's always interesting to see exactly how different lines are taken around there as Burns and Pitts in the background, and Ranieri onto the back then of Heasterbeek, and this is going to be for a faux lead potentially, if we are led to believe what Lewis McGlade believes. Down to turn 1 around the outside, more grip, less haste, less front wing bashing would have been nice, but Ranieri does indeed take the lead at the moment for the Sepang International Malaysian Grand Prix for GPVWC Super League.
yeah, but I reckon Ranieri's going to be pitting again. Those tyres are not going to go to the end. However, Ruud Heasterbeek probably will. So, as I say, I think Ruud's got this one comfortably. It's the battle for the podium, which is between Ranieri, Redshaw and Fidek. That's the interesting one. Who's going to be taking that one?
Definitely.
For 2 and 3.
Must get a little bit of an outside shout, because I don't put CSG behind having a little bit of a tete-a-tete. Paresis and Morris battling over 7th and 8th at the moment. I don't think Jim should be there basically on merit, but Morris is slightly out of sync on the pit stoppy strategy and is faster at the moment. Tries to do the McGlade outside move, but has done a switcheroo up the inside, and that will take 7th position quite nicely if he can get a nice clean drive into the inside. Yep, he does, and then has it at the exit of that chicane. Roland has
into
just
the pits, yes.
gone into the pits as well from what was 12th, so that releases Canton up to there.
I think Roy Schraten's going to get past Nick, as yes, he does. I think that's a legitimate one for position.
Yes, it
Roy
is.
Schraten.
There's Ranieri's in.
As I said, yeah. Now don't forget that those two CSGs have got to come in for the options later on in the race, whereas Cipriani goes on to the primes. So yeah, I'm wondering who's like, because these CSGs, I think they're going to come back into it, a bit later on. If they pit at the right time for the options, do sort of 7 or 8 laps on on the options, then that might play into their favour.
Depends on exactly how long they can stretch this compound out for, and make sure that they don't end up taking time off of each other. They've settled into more of a rhythm now, with Redshaw ahead of Fidek. They've got a gaggle of cars ahead, notably Bart de Vos, who has been passed by Jordan Weeks. That's a swap for, I think, 19th and 20th position as Bart de Vos takes extreme avoiding action, and pretty much ruined his chance of trying to get back past Jordan.
Yeah, right. So, what other action do we have going out on track? I don't believe that's too much. But the CSG is running very close to each other for P2 and P3, coming up to the back of Jordan Weeks, getting past.
Missilis and Canapino, 16 and 17, side by side. And Missilis took Canapino on the inside of the final turn. Canapino gets him back on the outside, side by side down the straight again. And it's Norjone versus Red Archer. And Missilis cannot do it. Canapino stays ahead, and there's problems for someone. That was Schroten retaking Nick Rowland for 13th and 14th positions. Ryan got through and Rowland's retaken him, so it's for the lower end of the points at the moment, whilst the front end keep themselves sane, but there's definitely stuff to be had.
Yeah, I'm just looking at something that I've just been pointed out, which is interesting. I don't know, did Caster start on the options or the primes? I believe it was the primes. I think he's done prime. Because if he started on the options and he's gone prime and he's running to the end of the race, then he's in a net second. But I don't think that he's run the options yet. I think he still has to stop. I think it's the same about the CSGs.
Time will tell. as Roy Schroten side by side with Nick Rowland again. Schroten's got all his Schrotens to the wall. Oh, don't do a little bit of a... Oh, and again, I tell you what, that was a little bit of the old Frenchy kissings about to go on. And again, my goodness me, how many times do you want to bum hump each other down the straight?
Wow.
I'm a bit confused there. Nick Rowland does get ahead. Schroten goes for the old slipstream. Rowland cuts across and says, "You're not having any of my clean air, thank you very much." Schroten down the outside, beautifully done. Less of the argy-bargy here, thank you very much. Oh no! Spoke too soon. Round goes Roy Schroten. Through goes Kieran Ryan, who says thank you very much in his Irish best. And yeah, Mr. Schroten, I don't think... well, he needs to keep it clean now, because right behind him is the Missilis and Canapino battle that's still raging on, as Canapino takes Missilis for 16th, 17th. No, David just gets it back, and if they stop battling each other and focus on the fact that Schroten wants to throw it away up ahead, then that could well be the final point, as Muscat exits the pits from 6th position behind Ranieri.
Yeah, this is why I said we shouldn't have really brought up Woods. We bring out the Woods curse. It's just, yeah, it's all us. Unfortunately, Roy Schroten into 15th, and he'll probably have to fight until the end of the race to keep that one. Unfortunately, but that could be Woods' first point of the season.
Missilis is now ahead of Canapino, though Davidus has amazing pace in practice. Of course, he's got a wounded car, so Schroten needs to play with Ryan before anything's done.
Feels like an irrelevant statistic if they're going to be pitting again, which they need to, but Redshaw 1 second off the back of Ruud Heasterbeek.
Oh no, I'll take a lead battle regardless of how stilted it is, as Kieran Ryan pops into the pits and ruins that little scrap anywho. So yeah, we've got the leaders back on, and in fact I can see the leading 3 all in the same camera shot. Great stuff.
Yeah, see, this is something that's interested me, is that these CSGs, you look at the previous race and you look at this race, they're sort of like glued to each other. It's quite nice to see teammates just running in the same part of the grid, as you saw the Torrents do quite a lot of last season when they were taking the 1-2s from Germany, and they did it in the US as well. And, I think it's just quite nice to see the two teammates running at the same part of the track.
I think it also shows just how even Stevens
everything
is in terms of setup, in terms of driver ability, and their ability to actually race together as well, which is something that you want in a teammate, but you don't often get.
Yeah, I mean, we've all been dealt teammates who are kind of like, oh, I just didn't want you as teammate. And I'm not talking about you, Smithy. We were teammates, and that was a good lineup that we had.
Yeah,
me
so
and your teammates. FC
I was
last
always
year.
very generous for you when I was getting a blue flag to get lapped by you. Morris on the back of Muscat, actually. Is Morris pitted just recently? I didn't spot it if he did, but if he did, no, he didn't. Morris does his fastest lap of the race, actually, 1:33. But he's right onto the back of Muscat, and that potentially could ruin Muscat's afternoon if Morris decides to dive one down the inside and yoink ahead a little bit.
Okay, now half a second between them. Also going to be at the line. It's just over half a second. It's that second sector. It sort of comes back to Redshaw, I think, in that second sector where Redshaw closes up massively to Heasterbeek, which makes me wonder what the top speed of that CSG is in comparison to the Leisure. I think it must be a lot lower, because I think it's probably running a bit higher downforce.
And I remember actually seeing this in the Formula Challenge race that I was in, that there is very much a split on high to low wings, and it would really bear out down specifically this home straight as Morris has a go at Jason Muscat, but there you can see he's just losing out in the last little bit. He's having to rely on his brakes, which did not want to give him the best, and just basically by scaring Muscat off the apex of the corner, he goes through up into 6th position. Any which way that will do, as Vandy Vu does indeed pop into the pits, and Muscat, I wouldn't advise it down there. It comes out clean.
Yeah, we'd like to see a bit of a clean wheel-to-wheel. Muscat is going to be on the inside through 5 and 6. Not a primary overtaking opportunity, quite a scary one, but we've seen it happen a couple of times throughout this race.
We have
actually.
Surprise. As Canton
Indeed.
pops in from 12th into the pits for his last splashy and dashy. We've not seen many overtakes down into this hairpin. Are we about to see one? No. Muscat keeps that clear. That's where I came a cropper when someone tried to do a move on moi and forgot that I have a front nose cone, which was a shame. But you can often do a clean move if someone has, because it's very easy to run wide in that double right-hander and just catch the outer curb, and it leaves you a couple of kph, and that leaves you open to being absolutely rampantly ravaged down into that hairpin.
Yeah, the curbs here, they look nice and easy to attack, but they're just not. They're pretty evil. They're very misleading. As Redshaw pulls out just to have a little look, we're saying to Redshaw, "Hello, I'm here." You know, saying to he speak. You know, I'm here. I'm ready to take the lead now. Thank you. So when will Redshaw make his move? As I say, Redshaw's got to come in for some options a bit later on in this race. So this, although it is the battle for the lead, I think it's the battle for the net lead. But Redshaw definitely wants to take it.
Yeah, he's jagging around left, right, and centre. I suppose if you've not got to make the tyres last to the end, you can burn them up as much as you want now.
Indeed.
But the less time you have to spend on those option tyres, potentially, the better. Depending on where the cliff is for you. But doing that into turn 14 is not the way to win the tenths of a second. As who was that making a move? That was Muscat being done by Paresis, I believe. And Muscat's lost out quite a couple of seconds in that, so that must have seen Jason go off the track.
Yeah, I don't understand why Redshaw's pulling out so aggressively towards the end of the straight, because there's no real reason for it. It's just going to disadvantage you through the turn. So he doesn't do it into turn 1, but he did it into the final turn. He pulled out just really, really aggressively before the turn, which then, he had to work his car under brake and back onto the racing line to then bring it round the turn. It's something that's really unnecessary. You shouldn't, you just shouldn't do it, because it's just going to disadvantage you too much throughout the corner.
I can just see your finger wagging.
Oh, yeah, I'm just like, no, don't do that. It's just something that you shouldn't do, because it's just going to disadvantage you. And when you're trying to close up to that lead car, it's just a little bit pointless.
Reminds me of an Ukio Katayama-esque, I'll unsettle the car before I go into a corner. And sometimes that will leave you facing the wrong way, as Columbus and Paresis in.
So he does it
from
again.
What was 7th and the 9th.
Yeah, Redshaw doing that thing I was saying again, pull out before the corner and then has to work himself back onto the racing line, unless that car's overheating or something, in the behind Redshaw's car. I don't know why he'd have to do it.
Well, engines are a premium this season, of
They
course.
are indeed, with ST losing one, Columbus coming out of the pit lane. But yeah, I think ST is the only one who's one engine down.
Yes.
And yeah, you're going to want to keep those engines as much as you can. You don't want to put them on the line and blow them out. So, which once again doing it. It might be an engine related thing.
No, we'll need to explain, should he be invited to an interview, if he's been a good boy. Troughton under attack from Canton, and for 13th and 14th currently at the moment, as again Redshaw has nearly a bit too much of a closer look to the back of Heasterbeek's rear wing, and there's not having to save the tyres, and then there's just damaging them for damaged cores, and I think Lewis is running the risk of doing that soon.
Yeah, I thought he was going to go and investigate Heasterbeek's gearbox then. That was a bit scary, but nevertheless,
I'm the
stays
FIA.
behind. Yeah. Has Redshaw battle for the lead?
Not
no,
the curb.
It's not going to get past.
Well, that was a bit too much.
Oh,
inside
however,
curb.
is he going to go through here? Yes, he is. He's going to go for it.
Heasterbeek saw that one coming.
What a move! Is that actually done? No.
No.
That's some
Heasterbeek's
nice.
gone
That's
back.
some nice defensive work from Rude Heasterbeek. However, Redshaw is pretty much past now, as Heasterbeek moves down to second. As I say, it's still probably the lead of this race, because Redshaw has to pit.
I suppose with Rude, he's just thinking, right, do you know what, off you go, mate, because I'm thinking conservation mode here on lap 46 of 56, and it wouldn't surprise me actually if Redshaw and Fiduk were in over the next 2 laps. Down the straight they go. Yeah, Heasterbeek saw that one coming, because he didn't actually take the apex of the first of that double right-hander fully committedly. as you normally would in a certain chop. And I think you knew that Redshaw was getting to that I'll do or die moment. There's behind them Schroeton and Kantanen side by side for 13th and 14th position, and the Hawkeye has done them before they've got down to the end of the straight. Danny Asbury coming out of the pits getting lapped by his teammate Roy Schroeton there.
Yeah, I'm interested by these Woods drivers because Schroeton had the advantage. Schroeton's got the advantage this time out. However, Danny had the pace advantage last time out. They've kind of switched it up a bit as to who's running the fastest, and Roy Schroeton trying to push his way past Oskari Kantanen once again, just to get himself back in front. However, running in 14th, that's not bad for Roy Schroeton.
Bad at all, not good for Sam Miller, down in 20th position in the pits, doing his final stop. When you consider your teammate is running 8th, that is quite a difference, and you've been lapped by your teammate as well.
Yeah, and just quickly, as I'm going to flick through the top 15 as we run at the moment. Redshaw obviously leads, probably coming into the pits anytime soon, possibly the next 3 or 4 laps. Do at least a decent amount of laps on the options. However, he nearly runs by at 14, followed by Ruud Heesterbeek. My goal, my prediction for the race win, and it's looking like he's in a good position for it, and closing up the back of him, David Fiddick in 3rd. Patakasa 4th, Sheppy Ranieri 5th, doing the odd strategy of pitting very early in the race. However, I think he's now good to the end, if I remember correctly. Jason Muscat in 6th position, Jim Paris is 7th, Lee Morris 8th on the options. Now, that's something I said, he might come in and go for the options after those primes. He seems to prefer these options, which is really odd. But Lee Morris good to the end of the race, I believe. Toby Davis in 9th position after that good drop at the start. Columbus 10th, Tom van der Voort 11th, Nick Rowland 12th, Oskari Kantanen 13th, Roy Schroeton in 14th, and the final points position is going to Jordan Weeks at the moment, who doesn't like is going to be attacked from behind at all. Canapino has gone into the pit lane though and is going very slow in it. He's pulling into the garage. He's going to retire.
The bad end to the day
that
for an
engine.
AutoZone driver.
Yeah, I'm going to assume he's saving that engine. If you're not running in a position you want, I don't know.
Maybe, or he's just had enough from what's been
Yeah.
a trying evening of entertainment, as Kantanen completely misses the hairpin and nearly lets Schroeton back through for the battle for 13th and 14th. Got to be careful, Jordan Weeks is closing them down, as is Bart de Vos. So, plenty to go on, because not all of those are on course for actually scoring points here today. Redshaw only a second clear over Ruud Heesterbeek, so he's hardly romping away. And you've got to think, when are you pitting Redshaw and Fidek? Not this time round.
Indeed, doesn't look like they actually have to pit just yet. It looks like they only want to do 5 or 6 laps in these option tyres. So you're going to push these primes as long as they can. However, Redshaw does lock up on these quite a lot. He's running a little bit too high brake pressure, but it's just locking up, probably destroying the tyres a bit more than he'd want.
Quick look down. Kantanen is still ahead of Schroeton, and now he's got his car seemingly back under the bucking Bronco. He is now pulling slightly away from Schroeton.
Carcer into the pits and out on the options. As I said, still had those options to run.
Both the Phoenix guys have fallen out of the points actually as well, so there may still be 1 or 2 people left to pit to sort that back out, but that'll be a disappointing end to a very well developed car if they come away with 0 points, considering they got 5 last time out. As Paresis versus Morris continues their little squabble. They were together earlier on, now they're back together again. They're coming around to lap Sam Miller, who is Lee Morris's teammate, so I wonder if he can get in the way for Jim so that he can go, "Hey boy, Jimmy son," and maybe help out his teammate if he can't help out their constructors' point scoring cause.
Yeah, right. So now we're all having a little bit of breathing. I think Jim Paris is going to come under attack from Lee Morris anytime soon. They're both on the options. And Muscat, not too far up the road, going to fight Petter. But other than that, I think We're all in a little bit of calm breathing, nice open air at the moment.
Unless you're Jim, he's got a little bit of a face full of Lee Morris, which you may not necessarily want a face full of Lee Morris. Oh, as someone was going well off the track behind them. Who was that? Oh, it was Sam Miller. So he's already out of the way for them as he takes an unusual line into turn 14. It did not involve really sticking near an apex. It does make you wonder actually when a team is so spread out based on exactly where everyone's going, as Heasterbeek has closed back down on Redshaw. Have they stayed out too long, I wonder?
Yeah, I think so.
It makes you wonder if one driver is flattering the car to deceive, or the other one is showing the real pace of it. If the truth is somewhere in the middle, who knows? Who knows?
Who actually knows? Yes.
Like the sunset, by the way.
Yeah. No, I don't understand. You know, some teams have sort of gone for a driver and have hoped for the best. Morris with the cutback, awesome cutback there for P7, and moved himself up. However, Jim Paris is on the inside through 5. Morris is going to be on the inside through 6, and Morris takes P7. And Redshaw has been in the pits. Yes,
he is indeed. And let's see where he comes back out in relationship to Ranieri. And I think all that squabbling between himself and Heasterbeek is going to put Redshaw behind. With
they're at the end. They're at the end of the pit lane, so Giuseppe Ranieri is actually going to be behind Lewis Redshaw.
Yeah, done well.
They head down to turn 1, so they've worked nicely. And the difference is that Giuseppe Ranieri on the primes, lower, are probably about the same fuel now, considering at the time of the race. But Redshaw is on the options. You know, we saw those options come back, but that's after about 10 laps. So I think Redshaw's got this podium position, and David Fidek is probably going to come in at the end of this lap and come out behind Redshaw, but in front of Giuseppe Ranieri. So this could be CSG both on the podium again.
You must be thinking, what is it that I need to do to get myself ahead of these CSG duos? Paresis and Morris side by side down into turn 1. Jim is not done yet. Morris has to go right the way around the outside, hugs Paresis' front left wheel, but gives him just enough space to keep the car there. Nicely defended by Lee. And Jim now going for the outside line, the favoured McGlade-esque go for it. Can he do it? No, he can't. Morris hops over the curb, and in doing so is able to keep the racing line. Has he gone a bit too wide? Nope. He's doing the same thing. He takes a wide berth in, and then he's able to cut back across on the racing line so that it stops Paresis ever really getting a nose in, as Heasterbeek and Fidek both go round again. Fidek, you need to come in at some point, mate.
Yeah, he definitely needs to go put those option tyres on, but clearly I don't think he really likes them, so he's going to push this out as long as possible.
Weeks in the pits.
Okay, what position is Weeks in at the moment? He's down in P17, obviously not scoring points today, unfortunately.
No, because that let De Vos and Missilis back through against the Vodball driver. Bart De Vos now gets the final points paying position, and the Phoenixes look a bit too far back to be able to do anything about that now. Still 23 drivers remaining in this Grand Prix. And now it just remains exactly when and where will Fidek pit and rejoin in front of. As
I think
gets out of the way.
The longer he stays out, the longer he's just, those tyres are going to be pushing too far, and they're not going to have the right amount of life in them. But obviously when they pit, they've only really got to change tyres. Maybe a quick splash of fuel to just give them that amount to go. The 4 or 5 laps to go. So yeah. He's probably going to come out around about just behind Redshaw, I think, as he continues round once again.
And he's dropping away now from Heasterbeek, 1.8 seconds the gap. Redshaw in third, 20 seconds off, so clearly making the progress back in again, and so he'll definitely rejoin behind Fidek. Ranieri 24.6 seconds off of Heasterbeek, and 22 behind Fidek, which to me means that they're going to rejoin side by side effectively. Kassa's still 5, Muscat 6th, and he's closing down Kassa, so be wary of that one Morris has still got Parisis all over the back of him. I don't think those two will be done yet for a while. JB Davis up to 9th position after his grid penalty. Good recovery. Not seen much of the Norwegian driver, but good stuff from here. Vindegaus Columbus, great stuff again for Target Racing in 10th. Remember, Target's a new team. We've said a lot about CSG, but Target are doing wonders with that new team as well. Vandervalt's closing him down in 11th, ahead of the Lapchnik Roland. Then it's Canton and Schroten and DeVos rounding out your point scorers. Still running, Misselis 16, Ryan 17, Weeks 18, Bryson 19, Miller 20th, Morton Verneton 21st, Mikhail Tumala is 2 laps down for Green Stripes in 22nd, with Danny Asby 23rd for Woods Racing, your final runner and rider. Biden
Yeah.
2.1 down.
Yes, he is just dropping off the back there, and I think this might cost him with Separanieri if he's not too careful.
He needs him now.
I think he's coming to the pit lane now. Yep, there he goes. Different line through the final turn. This is the weird thing with this pit lane and the way it exits the final turn. You take a very different line when approaching. You can brake, I think, probably about 50 metres later and just take a completely different line through the final turn and into the pit lane, as David Fiddick has done.
You can't hide the fact you're coming in, can you?
No, it's kind of like you'll just see a massive dive bomb, and then the driver in front has to decide, he's probably actually going into the pit lane, so it's okay.
Well, Redshaw's going through as he puts a lap on Schroten. Fiddick is just going down on the power now. Here comes Ranieri, and I think Fiddick's done it just about.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, one more lap maybe, and that could have been so very different.
Yeah, but I think those CSGs, they've got that podium position all pretty much sorted up for those two, which is good. And Ruud Heesbeek with a 20-second lead because of his change in strategy. In fact, he's only had to pit twice, so excellent strategy for Ruud Heesbeek.
Yep. Can't think of anyone else that's made that work.
That yawn.
Sorry, I tried to cover it. It's been a very long week.
It has indeed.
Morris still having to defend from Parisis for 7 and 8. Parisis takes a little look, but Jimmy's got nothing to shove down the inside at the moment on Mr. Maurice. So we'll keep a close beady eye on that. Columbus actually is closing down Toby Davis as well, so keep an eye out for that one, maybe with the last couple of laps to go.
Yeah, we've only got 3 to go. It'll be 2 at the line, and Ruud Heesbeek crosses it, as he has done now. So 2 laps to go in Sepang.
Yeah, Jason Muscat all over the back of Casa. Casa had a terrible exit from turn 9, the sharp hairpin, and it's really put him right under pressure. They've got laps traffic in the form of Kieran Ryan up ahead, who's already caused a scare this evening, and they've dealt with Jordan Weeks. That could well play problems with the final lap or so. And Jason would love to get Red Archer a top 5 finish. It's been a while since they've had one, very long while in fact. And Casa has managed to punch above his weight in that Torrent Motorsports car, so it's going to be good regardless of whatever happens for either of those if they get it, but I think both want it for their own reasons.
Indeed. That Torrent, it's just not upgraded enough at the moment, and maybe moving forward into the next few rounds they will get those upgrades that they need on that car and push themselves further forward, but not really too sure as to what's going to happen with that. It's a hard season ahead, I feel.
Well, Ascari Cantonen has just overtaken Roy Schroten in that battle for 13th and 14th, so that sorted that. And Columbus is going past Toby Davis down into turn 1, is he? Yes, he is, down and around the outside. Davis hits Columbus! Problems there. I didn't quite see on the angle of the camera whether Columbus gave Davis enough room or if there was a bit of shovey-bargy. But Columbus stays behind for now, but he's closed Davis down at a rate of knots, and it looks like he's going to have another go down into turn 4 of all places. And in fact, that looks as if Davis may be letting him through. Not sure. That's all a bit easy. So, regardless, Mindergaus now ahead in 9th position for Target. Toby still in the top 10, but look at Tom Vandervoort looming hard in his mirrors, and look at that. It's so far up the inside, he's going to take him into the double right. My goodness me, Vandy Vu, injured or not, that was a good move, and I think that will put a smile on Tom's face when he's going to be grabbing 10th whilst his teammate leads, as we are on to the final lap now for Ruud Heesbeek. And He might be in 10th, but his team's going to take it.
Picasso and Jason Muscat, P6 and P5, P6. Oh, Muscat locking up a bit and probably gone through.
Down the inside, is he? Round the outside for 2. That's beautifully done, because Casa seemed to like half give him a little bit of extra space, thinking, oh God, he's coming. And that could very well end up for Jason Muscat to... No, he's going to drop behind because Casa's got he's got the McGlade line into turn 4. And what that does do is let Ruud Heesterbeek then come down into the final turn. It has been a strategic victory over the rest of the field and an exercise in tyre management, performance management, and having the car and driver to do it. Ruud Heesterbeek wins the Malaysian Grand Prix for GPVWC 2014 Super League. Beautifully done for Nijo. It is going to be second place for Lewis Redshaw for CSG. Teammate David Fiduk will shadow him home in 3rd and 4th. Third position. Giuseppe Ranieri will be 4th. Who is going to be 5th though, because Casa and Muscat have swapped places twice already this lap. It's going to be interesting to see how they go as they cross over the line. 1 corner to go, and Muscat is in the prime seat, so that's a Phoenix that spun in the background. Target, sorry. That will be Muscat through. Can Casa get him on the reflect back again? Side by side out. So close. Muscat's down on the power, but Casa's down better, and he's pulled away better. Earlier gears, and Casa grabs 5th position. Same for Morris versus Paresis. Paresis may well have a last minute stab as well. But nope, can't do it. Morris is going to stay ahead so long as he gets that apex, which he wasn't looking.
No, bit of contact.
Oh, come on.
That's naughty.
Oh, naughty from the pair of them. Morris grabs 7, Paresis then 8. Columbus and Vandervoort for 9. It's, my God, everyone's doing a final corner dash. Mindergaus Columbus just about keeps it ahead of Thomas Vandervoort. Then 11th will be Toby Davis, who is being done by Sam Miller, but actually that was him unlapping himself. Not quite sure when that was going on. Nick Rowland will be 12th. Then it's Cantonen 13, Roy Schroten 14. Bart de Vos grabs the final point in 15th. Then still finishing but not scoring, Davidus Misilis in 16th, Kieran Ryan 17, Jordan Weeks 18, Boyd Bryson 19, Morton Vernonson will be 20th, Sam Miller 21st, 2 laps down Mikhail Tumala and Danny Asbury for Green Stripes and Woods. Your retirements, Augustin Canapino retired on lap 47, Mark Fuller disconnected lap 29, Gregor Baldi crashed out lap 19, Calvin Herms disconnected lap 18, and Vinod Moodley was in the barriers on the opening lap.
Yeah, I mean, 2 weeks ago I asked Tom van der Voort if that car was going to come back and if it was actually going to be good when they came here, and he said yes, it will. And they've come away with a win. As Nijo, and obviously 10th position with Tom van der Voort, excellent taken towards the end of the race. But for them to have come back from what happened last time, they've done a good job, have Nijo, to put Ruud into P1. Lewis Redshaw will still be the championship leader moving on from this, obviously with 1st and 2nd just in front of David Fiduk and Giuseppe Ranieri. So, championship-wise, we're looking like we've got something to fight for, but Lewis Redshaw is that person that's leading it, and Ruud Heesterbeek looks like he could be coming back into this one.
Going to be a real interesting squabble as the teams continue to sort out exactly how they want their cars to be for the future races. Who's your driver of the day then, Mr. McGlade?
Ruud did a very good job strategy-wise. To put that car into that position where he only needed to 2-stop, and that's an impressive thing. But it's the second best car on the grid. I don't know where I'd put my driver of the day. Probably would be Ruud. Because the strategy, just controlled the race as much as he needed to, didn't really fight for a position that he didn't, and just controlled it quite nicely at the front. But Redshaw did a very good job to put that car, which we were looking at, was something like 5th or 6th best coming into this because of the lack of upgrades that they added. To say that he got 2nd was good, but probably Ruud.
Great stuff. Great stuff. We're just being joined then by some cherubs who have driven their little souls out today. And whilst we see whether or not Ruud will come and join us, let's start off with the CSG boys, and we'll start off with 3rd position, Mr. David Fiduk. who didn't quite let it all go his teammates' way today, and you certainly, I mean, you was together nose to tail for the entire race, but you certainly showed that actually you're not prepared to play second fiddle to Lewis.
Yeah, I guess for the first half of that race, it was kind of close, good racing, but yeah, I got to a stage where primes I used too much coming out the pit when I was behind Lewis, damaged my tyres, so I had to back off and look after him so I could make it to the last stop. But until then, yeah, it was great racing. A lot more closer than Australia, a lot less nerves, which helped. Yeah, all round a better event. Surprised we got second and third. Our car's not been upgraded as much as the others, so yeah, it was a nice surprise getting third.
And just saying that about the car and how it's not so upgraded and stuff, CSG, this is the first time that you've kind of done your back-to-back podiums now, and people going, so they're going to be up the front potentially to stay for a little bit. Does that help calm your nerves going forward for Bahrain and so on and so forth, that you're thinking, right, yes, we do have a package that I can be regularly up here, and now I can focus at the task at hand?
For now, yes. Obviously our budget's not as good as everyone else's. Yeah, we just got to I don't know, we just got to work hard and try and do what we're doing it well so far. Lewis has been amazing, so be able to fight him for the whole race was fun. Hopefully we can carry on into Bahrain in the next few races, but again, yeah, money is a big issue.
Yeah, you say money being a big issue, and the fact that you brought up earlier that the upgrades on the car, you were surprised with P2 and P3. Do you think that there's going to be a cure for that? Do you think you're going to have upgrades moving on into Bahrain, or is it sort of like you're going to stick with this kind of car and relish that later on in the season?
That's something you'll have to ask Dave. I'm not in that section of the car. I don't really care, to be honest. I just like to get my head down and test and try to do the best I can. Yeah, but I'll find out from Dave and try and let you know. But as far as I know, I'm not sure. Maybe Lewis can shed some light on that.
Lovely. Well, thank you very much, Dave. Go and enjoy more champers. More champers. Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
That sounds like a man who's already cracked it open. We've also got second position Lewis Redshaw in the house. And congratulations for now. You've got a 1 and a 2. Don't want to wish you to have a 3, but then you will have the complete set for this season so far. And talk us through that race, because that looked like you was under a lot of pressure from your teammate and from other places back and forth.
Yeah, that one definitely wasn't as easy as the 2 weeks ago. Obviously decided to start on the front tyres because myself and David the options were awful for us. Maybe you get 2 laps and then they start to fall off. So we just assumed that everyone that's starting on the options was going to pit on lap 2, like Giuseppe did. But that didn't happen. And Ruud managed to get so far into the race, I can't believe it. So well done to him. He just destroyed us today in terms of strategy. But yeah, David I damaged my tyres a lot when I was having to let other cars through and then try and get back past. So my front left was overheating a bit. And David was right behind me, and he was faster, so there's no question to me. I had to let him go. I managed to catch him up again at the end of a stint, pitted, came back out, and I caught up to him about halfway through the run, and he pulled over to let me through to repay the favour, I guess, as well. And managed to catch Ruud, which was really fun, and pass him, so that felt good. I bet he was, I didn't know if he was thinking we were going to pit again or not, so we were just trying to put him under as much pressure as possible and get him to destroy the tyres. But he had it all under control. And then just use the options at the end, and they weren't too bad. So maybe we need to have a look at our strategies again, possibly.
No, you can't win them all. You can't win them all. You
can try.
Yeah, exactly. And I can see CSG trying quite a lot, actually, to be fair. But just to echo off what Dave was saying earlier, didn't quite expect you to be battling for the podium positions and be such a force as a team together. Looking forward to Bahrain, where do you think that you'll be able to pitch yourself now? as the championship leader currently?
That really does depend on what other teams can do with their budgets and RD points. I haven't checked with the situation now, but obviously we're winning back prize money. We've done quite well in the last two. We've got the fastest lap of today as well with David, I believe, so that's a bit more. So we'll have to see, but I can't see us bringing much more now, upgrades wise. So this is probably going to be it. But then again, we don't know what everyone else's team's doing. So I think we've got a good car. The setup we've got is fantastic. I didn't touch it at all from Australia, apart from I think I put one front wing on it, and that's all I did. So that's obviously a good setup then. So hopefully keep using that, and hopefully we'll get maybe another win. But podiums I'm very happy with.
Yeah, I mean, you say about temperature-wise, your front left was overheating. Is this something that's going to be a problem throughout the season? Obviously, the next round we're moving to is Bahrain, a track with, again, high temperature, probably even some would say hotter than here. Do you think you're going to be struggling there, or you're going to sort that out?
Quite possibly, but obviously you've got to think this track's got a lot of sweeping corners, which really damages the tyres. Obviously you've got the fast left-right, and then sort of second to last corners, another sweeping right-hander, and they just destroy the tyres. Bahrain hasn't really got that many corners like that. I'm sure me and Dave will have a look. We haven't had a very good week. David hasn't had the best of week, and nor has Dave, so we haven't been completely focused on this. But I'm sure we can do just as good a job for Bahrain and hopefully get that issue sorted. But I've always struggled with tyre wear, so I just have to battle through it.
Oh, well,
It's
big
my life
hugs.
struggle.
Big hugs to CSG, and I hope you'll have a better rest of the week now that you've podiumed it out and it's approaching the weekend.
It'll help.
Yay. Good stuff. Unfortunately, Rude has not been able to join us, but we do bow and salute to the Heaster Beaker.
Yes.
And yes, I can't
Very
wait
good
to
job
see.
today.
Indeed, with the Nijo and the tyres and the pace and the strategy and everything rolled into one fluffy bundle called Rude Heasterbeak. And on that note, to Lewis McGlade, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Indeed, it has. Second time we've had a poll go to the win. So obviously, congratulations to Reed for that. Whether we're going to have that next time out at Bahrain, don't know. 2 weeks time, we'll be able to find out. Where Formula Challenge starts on the Tuesday in 2 weeks, and then closely followed by the Super Cup, and then we're back for the IP4 Super League at Bahrain for round 3. And I'm excited to see what's going to happen pace-wise. The upgrades to the car, see which team is going to be pushing their way to the front of the pack.
Indeed. And of course, we've got one off on this Saturday with the Daytona 500. And if you do fancy getting involved in that, you can drive over to GPVWC and get yourself signed up. It's open testing at the moment to see if you can make the top 43 to get onto the grid itself. I do believe that will be broadcasted on the Saturday. But do get yourself signed up in the forums, get yourself involved in the community. We love to have you here, and you'll love to be with us, whether you like it or not. Until next time, thank you very much to Simon Melhuish for his cameraman extraordinaire extravaganza, Mr. Lewis McGlade for his jiggy jappy comments. My name's Simon Smith. You all take care, and we'll see you on the other side.
User left your channel.